themselves or whether it's about their charges, it brings noise. Behind it, poking a little stick with some excrement on the end of it, is Turkey al Sheikh, winding everybody up and getting everybody at it, whether it's Frank because he's saying defamatory things or his Ring magazine colleagues are saying defamatory things about Queensberry.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, helping business owners to work better and live better. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
We do headlines at just coming up to 2 minutes past 10. I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. As the King of the Jungle attempts to become King of Cheltenham, he's told us it's like cup final day down there.
Everybody wants tickets, and I'm sure I shall be in the paddock, and they're off, and then suddenly my phone will go, Harry, I'm outside, you ain't left me tickets, you know. Oh, my God. Yeah, I can guarantee that'll happen somewhere too.
Harry Redknapp's Jukebox Man is the attention-grabbing favourite in the Gold Cup, live on talkSPORT at 4 p.m. Meanwhile, Harry disagrees with new Spurs CEO Vinay Venkatesham, who's blamed Daniel Levy for the club's recent on-pitch woes.
He was good to work with, he honestly was. I know probably Spurs fans don't like hearing that. They're blaming him for almost everything. But for me, he was fine. I had no problems with him.
Igor Tudor speaks to the press at 1:30 p.m. today. That should be fun. Ahead of Tottenham's trip to Anfield on Sunday, good news for Liverpool fans. Alisson's injury is not so bad.
Hopefully he's available and ready for Sunday. If not, I'm expecting him, if things go as planned, definitely against Galatasaray.
Tomorrow evening we've got Man City's trip to West Ham. That's live on talkSPORT for you. Something to make Chelsea fans smile today. Reece James has signed an extension till 2032. The club captain's previous deal was due to expire in 2028. And he's 7 shots off the lead, but Rory McIlroy reckons he's still in with a shout at defending his Players' Championship title.
Just felt like unbelievably rusty out there. Don't feel like I'm that far away. You know, no one went really low this afternoon.
We've got live coverage of the second round from Sawgrass on talkSPORT 2 from 10 p.m.
talkSPORT News.
The Chancellor has asked the watchdog to crack down on fuel rip-offs amid the Iran war, and the Tories claim the government's economic plan has failed after zero growth in January. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, where we've got more premium tyres than the number of times you'll hear, "Ooh, it's a bit nippy" this winter. Book today at quickfit.com.
Brighter today, but cold and windy. Some showers about, most of those in the north and the west, some heavy.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. I'm taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Hello, very good morning to you. It's Sam Matterface Alex Crook and the former England striker Dean Ashton. We're live on talkSPORT this morning. Thank you very much for joining us. Aston Villa fly the flag for the Premier League in Europe as Unai Emery becomes their fastest boss to 100 wins. Is the Spaniard their ticket to European glory this season? Meanwhile, since Vitor Pereira's first game in charge of Nottingham Forest, no side in Europe's top 5 leagues have lost more games in all competitions than Nottingham Forest. Are those stats misleading, or has he failed to make the desired impact? 03717 223344 if you want to reflect on last night's football. Crystal Palace drew with Larnaca. It means they've got to go and win away in the second leg. And after I predicted a whitewash, why have the English clubs fared so badly in the Champions League? It's Gold Cup day. Vinay Ventukesham blames Daniel Levy for pretty much everything at Tottenham. How to find the striker and co-owners on commentary. That's all to come with me, Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Dean Ashton, and we're live on talkSPORT. A very good morning to you. It's Fun Boy Friday on talkSPORT. We've got a massive show for you. Aston Villa, Forest, Palace, a gripping week of European action and a big Premier League weekend to come as well. But I'll be honest, I'm a little bit worried about the personnel in the studio today. As always, our chief football correspondent, Alex Crook, is here. Now, Alex has spent the entire week at Cheltenham and he's turned up today sounding a little bit like he's been gargling with a driveway gravel. He claims it's a stubborn cold. True, but we all know basically you've just been bellowing at a barman for the last couple of weeks. I was here first.
Shouting all those winners home. To be fair, the cold started literally at half-time when I was at the Amex last Wednesday. Right. All right, maybe the Cheltenham exuberance hasn't helped me recover quickly, but...
And alongside him today, a man who scored goals for fun in the Premier League, but loves his car so much he has recorded 8 episodes of the Premier League All Access podcast in the front seat of his Ford Mondeo. And if you're watching on our connected TV app, there is an example of him doing the podcast in his car. He's the only pundit who provides tactical analysis while waiting for a McFlurry. It's Dashboard, Dean Ashton. You all right?
I am. Well, you've got to stop showing the fact that I'm using someone else's Wi-Fi.
What's that called when you jump on somebody else's Wi-Fi? I don't know what the phrase is. I mean, you do it, so you probably do.
Wi-Fi thievery?
I legally can't talk about it on the show.
To be fair, when he said he was going to put an incriminating picture of you up, I thought he was in Cheltenham on Wednesday.
That's true.
Listen, if you don't want to speak today because you're worried about your voice, you can just give us a thumbs up. It's okay.
I will plough on like the professional that I am.
Piggybacking. That's what it's called. Piggybacking someone's Wi-Fi. I knew there was a phrase for it. Right, okay, let's talk a little bit about Aston Villa last night. They fly the flag for Europe for England in Europe as they beat Lille by 1-0. Ollie Watkins' second half header was the difference as they edged out Lille by 1-0 in the first leg away from home. So they got the second leg live on talkSPORT next Thursday night. It ended a run of 4 winless matches in all competitions. Unai Emery becoming the fastest Aston Villa manager to 100 victories. It wasn't a vintage performance, Crook, but with all the other English teams struggling in Europe, actually it shows that Unai Emery knows how to negotiate this sort of competition.
Yeah, he does, because I think when the draw came out, and obviously Villa were on the trickier side of it, we thought, well, maybe this could be a test against Lille, bearing in mind their Premier League form, but it was reasonably comfortable. Emi Martinez didn't have a lot to do. Olivier Giroud, at nearly 40, didn't really get a lot of service. So defensively, they were fine. Never looked like scoring a hatful of goals, and that remains a problem. I think it's 6 goals they've scored in 8 games. Ollie Watkins, his first in Europe this season, will give him a confidence boost. And John McGinn was able to come back for the first time since mid-January as a late substitute. So plenty of positives, but equally, I'm still not entirely convinced that Villa are over their slump.
How much does John McGinn's return give Aston Villa confidence going forward? He played the final 13 minutes last night. Will he be absolutely crucial to any success they're going to have?
Yes, and I think his absence alongside Tielemans and Kamara has been pretty obvious to see with their performances and the way they've struggled in games, as Crook said, to certainly create. And I just felt as if at the end of last season, there felt like there was such competition, especially in that forward area, that you had to, with the likes of Rashford and Marlon and Asensio, and it felt like you really had to be at the top of your game in that Villa team to keep your place. Whereas at the moment, it just feels like he's picking the same players every single game. And teams,
how much does that affect you as a striker, for example, if you don't have someone constantly breathing down? You've got Abraham and Watkins, obviously there this time around, but in other areas of the pitch, there doesn't seem to be that much competition because of the injuries that they've had. I think if you take those 3 players out of that midfield, by the way, you're always going to struggle a little bit in terms of quality because they're so integral to what they do. Kamara, Tielemans and McGinn, but McGinn obviously coming back now. But do you need that competition? Does it drive you?
What I think at the very elite level, I think complacency can creep in. It means that say you're carrying something, a slight injury or a knock or whatever that is, and you can get through the game at sort of 70%, knowing you're going to keep your place. That is, I think, at the elite level, it's about kind of sieving through the players because of that competition to really find the player that's going to consistently perform and deliver for you at that level. Without that competition, then you can drop your standards, still knowing you're gonna start games. I don't think it's good for you as a player. I don't think it's good for the team. But Unai Emery, he's so loyal. He is so loyal to players. There's something about it I do admire, because as a player, if you may be going through a difficult patch, wow, the manager's backing me. That does feel good. And if you can break through that, I think you gain the benefit at the back end of it. But then again, I think it has dipped some of the performances for sure.
Well, they're certainly big favourites to win this competition. 03717223344. I'd like to hear from Aston Villa fans who were there last night, because there were videos on social media that have shown Villa fans being targeted and refused entry into the stadium in Lille last night. If you were a Villa fan who got caught up in that, we'd like to hear from you. If you're watching on our YouTube stream or our connected TV app, you can see those scenes that have been doing the rounds on socials today. If you were caught up in those incidents, 03717223344, give us a call, send us a WhatsApp voice note and tell us your side of the story, what was happening there. Has anyone made a statement about that in the last 24 hours?
Not as far as I've seen. You obviously flagged these up in a couple of WhatsApp groups last night. Again, unfortunately, it's not an isolated incident, is it, when it comes to English football fans away from home in Europe, and particularly in France? It's a concern.
Yeah. I mean, look, it was heavy police presence when I was in Paris on Wednesday night, but I didn't see any issues for the Chelsea fans. They might tell me different, I don't know, but Marseille away from home, Newcastle had a problem. Obviously Aston Villa have had an issue as well. You'd kind of hope that the reputation doesn't precede them. In fact, I remember going away with Everton. I think it was to Lille? It might have been to Lille, can't remember, a long time ago. And there was an incident there which was just completely unnecessary. You know, it doesn't need to happen. The spirits were good before that game, and all of a sudden a load of fans come in and cause problems. In fact, you and I went to Frankfurt, didn't we? Do you remember we went to West Ham? We were in a restaurant somewhere, and it all kicked off there. And the West Ham fans were just sitting in a bar, and then a big van of Frankfurt fans or ultras turned up, and they just went crazy.
Yeah. I think what's difficult is we don't know when other teams from around Europe go to those countries whether they have the same sort of issues, whether it's throughout Europe in terms of still having issues for supporters. You'll have I'm sure, a minority that will want to cause trouble, and there's still those groups are around. You hope it doesn't follow English football because of the history that we carry with us, because nowadays you should be able to go away and watch your team in Europe without the fear. If you want to take your children, for example, without the fear of something like that happening. And that's the worry. It tends to be a minority, but then it does affect many others in the crossfire of that, and that's the scary part.
And it also needs to be done. You need to be able to be in a situation where you can go away to Europe and watch a game in relative comfort as well. You know, those scenes that we saw in Marseille of Newcastle fans being stranded for ages and walking through almost like sewage at one stage. It's just a disgusting environment for the fans to be put through. Just let us know what you saw last night if you're a Villa fan. 03717223344. Nottingham Forest fans didn't see a great performance last night from Vitor Pereira's team. They're actually okay up until sort of the edge of the penalty area, but that's been their problem for most of the season. They don't score enough goals. It certainly felt like that last night, that they were a little bit impotent in front of goals. Substitute Cho Ju-song scoring for Midtjylland. They're 1-0 up. And I mentioned that statistic a little bit earlier on about the fact that no team in the top 5 leagues has lost more games than Nottingham Forest since Vitor Pereira has turned up. I mean, I'm not suggesting for 1 minute they're going to change it again, but has he made the desired impact?
Probably not. I would argue that Sean Dyche at the start of his tenure made a stronger impact, but it's very difficult, isn't it, when you've got so many managers in one season, so many different philosophies. And I think a Forest team, certainly when it comes to the top end of the pitch who are lacking in confidence and belief. And Igor Jesus seems to score goals in the cup competitions and hasn't really done it in the Premier League. They need Chris Wood back, don't they? That would be a real shot in the arm for the rest of the season.
Anytime soon, though, I don't think. I think he's out for a little while.
I have done a couple of their games, and I did their game against Liverpool at the City Ground, and they were terrific and should have got something more from that game. I don't think the performances have been particularly poor, and they've created plenty of chances. That once again was the final nail in the coffin for Sean Dyche, when they had so many chances, couldn't put it away. Is that the manager's fault, or has he put the team out to perform in a way that's creating those chances? He can't put it in the back of the net. That is down to then the quality of players, whether you want to blame recruitment or missing your star striker, who was so efficient last season.
Well, across the last 4 matches at the City Ground, in all competitions, Nottingham Forest have had 88 shots, an XG of 6.44 and 126 touches in the opponent's box. They've scored once. How do you solve that? 03717223344. Their conversion rate this season, last year, as you mentioned, with Chris Wood up there, they were efficient. This year, 8.6 of their shots in all competitions have been converted. It's the lowest ratio of any Premier League side.
But I think what Chris Wood showed, especially last season, was that efficiency. You know, he was way outscoring his XG. The amount of times I watched Chris Wood not take a shot because it wasn't optimal to probably his chances of scoring, that's a bit of experience as well. But when you miss somebody like Awani as well, has not been fit enough to really challenge Igor Jesus, who hasn't quite got the goals that, again, those chances that he's had, he should have taken. So you could say they're slightly unlucky not having their
and Lorenzo Luca hasn't really stepped up to the plate just yet, but he's only just arrived. Are you okay for the next 3 hours? Is the car on the meter? Or is it a hybrid? You plugged it in or something? Somewhere?
This is London. There's no cars around for me today.
03717222344. Crook, you got your orange, your vitamin C, just to make sure you're okay?
Vitamin C,
That's good news. Okay, we'll keep you lively. This is talkSPORT. Sam Matterface, Dean Ashton, and with you as well. 03717223344. We'd like to hear from you. 81089 on the text. When we come back, we'll take some of those text messages because they're already coming in about English fans going off to Europe. If you're an Aston Villa fan, we'd like to hear from you. Nottingham Forest fan. We'll talk about Crystal Palace as well, who drew a blank last night despite Mateta coming back off the bench.
Morning, guys.
Jermaine.
Morning, Gabs.
Jay,
Morning,
good
boss.
morning.
Morning, boss. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. All good.
Why are you not here, Jermaine? I thought you would be with us today in the box, smelling amazing.
I might have to come down, actually. Looks like it's going to be fun. Nice day for it.
Yeah, great day.
Jump on the helicopter, you'll be fine, mate.
He's not a racing man, I don't think, is he?
Oh,
I'm not. The boss knows I'm not really, and he's getting involved in it, though.
Yeah.
Saying all the right
He's well behaved, didn't come on a Tuesday when he was in on a Wednesday.
No.
Yeah, he was definitely there on a Tuesday.
We're the lads here. All got the helicopter here, didn't they?
Did they?
Tottenham, yeah. Yeah.
That was Rob,
Jermaine,
that
it's
was
good to have you on with us. Let's get your thoughts now on your former club. Shall we start with Spurs? It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's been a hard watch all season. To be honest, I think especially the other night I watched the game and yeah, it was just I think the manager's come in and he's in, especially in that game, he's decided to start a young goalkeeper in Kingsley, and I think I was surprised when he took him off, to be honest. I think when you have a young goalkeeper and you make that decision in such a game of that magnitude to start him, I think you've got to stay with him. I think what a young goalkeeper can gain from that sort of experience, even though it weren't going well when he made the 2 big mistakes. But I think you've got to stay with him. And the fact that the manager decided to take him off and not really acknowledge him when he come off, I just think that human side, I think you've got to manage that situation in the right way. He doesn't look good. I think try and get through half time and allow the senior players to get around him and help him in the second half. But to drag him off after the 2 mistakes, it was hard for me to see that, to be honest.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Very good morning to you. This is Sam Matterface Alex Crook and the former England striker, dashboard Dean Ashton, who is here. You're looking dashing, actually. I love that Lacoste tracksuit you've got on. It's head to toe as well, isn't it?
Thank you. That's not what you both said when I first walked in.
We just said you couldn't come out with this afternoon dressed like that. That's all.
That is true. That is true. But you are dressed for every occasion. So
we've got a big day today. So, we're in a good mood. We're enjoying ourselves. We're ready to go. We're ready to go.
Well, it's Friday.
It's Friday. It's Fun Boy Friday.
Gold Cup Day.
It's Gold Cup Day. So hi, Sam. I went to Lille with Everton back in 2014. It was completely, as you say, the police provoking Everton fans that day. They penned everyone in the square, treated us like thugs. The organisation down onto the metro was horrendous. How no one got injured that day is beyond me. Everyone was in good spirits until the French police turned up in riot gear. Completely uncalled for. They will never change. Ryan says, thank you for raising awareness, lads. We get treated like stray dogs abroad when we go to watch football matches. I could give you a story about Marseille away in 2001 that would leave you flabbergasted. That's a good hook, Ryan. Well done. If you want to call in and tell us it, you can do. 03717 223344. Let's quickly talk about Crystal Palace because they were held to a frustrating draw again, despite the return of Jean-Philippe Mateta off the bench. He came off the bench for the final 15 minutes. The fans booed him when he came off the bench and onto the pitch. Dean, are you surprised by that?
No, of course not. He wanted to go. So what do you expect? We can't have it our own way all the time. You can't want to leave but still have a relationship with the supporters. That just doesn't work. So I fully expected it. He should have fully expected it. It's now down to him to get his head down and show them that he's still committed to the football club. That's how it works with football fans. You don't get to pick and choose when you're their favourite.
Obviously, there were more boos at full time as well. And I'm not sure that was just for Jean-Philippe Mateta. They failed to convert any of their 13 shots. You and I were both at the previous Larnaca game earlier in the season. It's a side they should be beating. I think we're pretty much convinced about that. League survival seems to be an absolute certainty for them. They're 10 points above the drop zone right now on the magic 38-point mark. But with that in mind, basically their whole season rests on the second leg, doesn't it?
Yeah, their whole season rests on this competition. I think Oliver Glasner's reputation rests on this competition. And what I don't understand is why, like certain former Manchester United managers, he's so wedded to this system that even when he hasn't got the personnel, he won't change. Why would you shoehorn Brennan Johnson into a wing-back role? Why do you need 3 centre-backs and 2 holding midfielders against Larnaca?
That was the argument that we had
Why not
6
just play
months
back
ago
four?
when they played them.
Well, because, like other managers, that's how he sees his team playing.
It's not working, is it? Because their Conference League campaign has been very underwhelming, bearing in mind they were the bookmakers' favourites to win it.
Because they're so good at counter-attacking football, great at being on the back foot and then hitting on the break. But when in this competition they're expected to take the games to teams, they can't do it.
So if Oliver Glasner is as good as he wants us to believe he is, he's got to find a different way.
No, I agree there should be some flex. There has to be against certain opposition. And especially if you know your big strength is to counter-attack and therefore that system works so well for them in that aspect. But then when you've got to try and break a team down, maybe there needs to be something different because, Larnaca will, have done so much homework on how to nullify Chris. But ultimately, they've created the chances. They should have won the game. That's still down to the players once you're on the pitch. It's easy to say, well, the system wasn't right. You've created the chances. You've been the better team. Your players haven't delivered.
Yeah, but I don't know whether the fans accept that because the same with Nottingham Forest. They created chances or half chances but didn't take them. Happened with Sean Dyche in charge there. Oliver Glasner has been in charge of this.
So why is that the manager's fault? He's done everything within his power to put the team in a place to play well and create chances. They've done it. So that's on him.
I'm not suggesting it is the manager's fault. I'm saying that the fans are getting to the point where they can't just keep accepting that we've created a load of chances, so that's okay. Maybe it's a recruitment issue. Maybe it goes deeper than that.
You said they've created a load of chances. I'm
talking about Nottingham Forest. Nottingham Forest have created a lot of chances.
Yeah, but Dino's talking about Palace last night. They only had 4 shots on target. All right, Larnaca didn't have a single one. But that doesn't suggest to me that they've been absolutely
No, but also,
it
depends if you're an XG type person. I actually am, because it's about the quality of chances that you've created that you should be scoring, and it's 1.98. They should almost have 2 goals, and they haven't. That is not the manager. Honestly, players nowadays, I was one of them, and I would love to be to go under the radar if I wasn't performing well, but it didn't happen that often in terms of if the supporters didn't call you out, your own players would call you out. They would.
Yeah, I wonder if that happens enough.
Probably not. But the manager seems to, these days, everything just points towards the manager, the system. Well, the manager's put the team out there. He's played well. He's created the chances. They should have won the game. That's not on him, is it?
Well, it's one of the things that we've talked about on the Premier League All Access podcast quite a lot this season, is that how attention really has to shift away from just being on the head coach every time something goes wrong. Yeah. Sporting directors need to be questioned. Recruitment specialists need to be questioned. The players probably need to be questioned. But the issue here is that football clubs have become these protected bubbles. And what they do is they will the manager out 3 times a week to face the media, and nobody else does anything.
Yeah.
You get the odd occasion where you speak to a player, but they're all very controlled and restricted, and you can only ask, some positive questions.
And also, you both do interviews, right? If you're interviewing a player, would you go at the player and talk to him about his poor performance or the positions he was getting himself into, the way you would a manager? I don't think you would.
I wouldn't, and I have done it. And I actually remember having a conversation with one player this season where I thought, well, actually, I probably wasn't fair there. But I asked Milos Kerkez about his role in the goal that they conceded up at Newcastle United.
How did that go down?
I know he explained. Actually, do you know what? But completely fair to him, he explained exactly what happened perfectly. And I think there should be more of that.
I actually think players would, respect it if they understood that they were underperforming and would be happy to talk about it more. But the managers get asked. What's wrong with X player? Why he's not performing? Well, ask the player.
Yeah.
Ask the player what the issue is.
03717 223344. That's the number to call if you want to get in touch. We're going to speak to some Villa fans who have got in touch with us in just a second, including the guy who took the video last night of those fans being ejected from the ground. 03717 223344. This is talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and Dashboard Dean Ashton. We're here right the way through till 1.
Oh!
No!
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 Yeah!
No! What is that, man? What is that?
Come on!
That is just
That's
so typical.
That's so nonsensical.
PSG 3, Chelsea 2, and goodness me, boys, you've shot yourselves in the foot.
What is that? What is that?
I said it. We said it. You bring in a keeper because he's good with his feet. But really and truly, is he that good with his feet? What's this shambolic goal?
Reece James plays the ball back to Jorgensen, who tries to play out from the back, and he gets intercepted. It falls to a PSG player. And by the way, as well, when he gets worked to Vitinha, the goalkeeper's off his line. And that is some dinked finish, isn't it? But once again there, Kwaku, he's taking way too much time. And my goodness me, in a game of football where you're level at 2-2, possibly looking the better team, in a game of this magnitude, at this level, mistakes like that, Louis, are just completely unacceptable.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is why when people talk about keepers playing with the ball at their feet all the time and how it's a massive priority, yes, I appreciate the game is changing, but the priority for a goalkeeper is saving it.
There's also moments as well that I don't think they're clearly there. You had a PSG player coming from the left-hand side.
It's illogical.
You could see ahead as well someone's being pressed. I'm with you. Playing out from the back is a part of football, but if you can see there's pressure on, there has to be a moment where you don't play out from the back and you just go long.
But this is the problem. There's this consistent need to always play out the back, always play out, always play out. Just this another problem with this Chelsea team, but also not just this Chelsea team, a lot of teams now, because there is so much pressure on playing out from the back, they make silly decisions like that all the time, and we're giving the ball away again.
How long have we been in the show? How long? How long?
A while.
Nearly 2 years. Fridays. Amelia's had to plug you in again.
You know me. I need a bit of looking after at times.
You do. Has anyone got any I don't think I've heard a voice like that since I tried to start my first car. Are you okay?
I'm fine.
Disorientated slightly.
There you go. They're still not working
right.
properly, but we're all right.
Okay. Well, let's speak to Rob, the Villa fan, who joins us now because he took the video of those scenes in Lille. Hello, Rob.
How are we doing, guys?
Very good, thank you. I take it you're on your way back or you've just got back. What happened last night? Tell us from your perspective. We've seen the video.
Yeah, no, I'm with my sons in the car. We're enjoying a bit of European glory as Villa fans. It's been a long time overdue.
By the way, thanks, Villa. We appreciate it. The whole Premier League appreciates you doing us a good turn this week because nobody else has managed it.
Well, we had to win at some point. And good old Ollie, lovely header. So, but yeah, some really, really disturbing scenes last night. I mean, I think, most Villa fans will agree, we're not a club that in Europe. I believe I read we hadn't had a single arrest this year away. And you'll see the longer video that's posted was mine. It's just over 2 minutes, 20 seconds. We got through, me and my sons. It was about 10 minutes before kick-off. It was really congested getting in. But to put the video in context, this was the third checkpoint for tickets. You've got your checkpoint on the way into the ground. You've got your checkpoint to the turnstile. Then you come in through the ground. You get to the away end. It's up, I think Villa quoted 59 stairs. A lot of older people, you'll see on the video. A lot of youngsters, people in wheelchairs. And for some reason, they weren't letting the Villa fans into the area with 7 or 8 minutes to go. I spotted all the people on the stairs and thought, wow, there's people going to start to fall down. There's things going wrong here. So I got my phone out. It was quite, you see all the old people trying to get through, people in their 70s. And then all of a sudden, the police charged in, got their batons out. The stewards were harassing people, pushing them over.
What sparked that? How did it go from people standing around trying to get into the ground to all of a sudden the batons coming out?
Well, basically what had happened, you're in the ground, so you were just sort of 10 steps from getting onto the concourse, which, as you can see, had a lot of space, and they decided they weren't really going to let people through. I have no idea why. It was all good-natured. You're taking a live video. Interesting thing was, and there's a couple of comments about the smoke stewarding. My phone got taken off me. I got put in an arm lock. The phone got thrown to the floor. You'll see the scuffle at the end of it because I obviously wanted my phone, and they deleted the video and let me go. And obviously my friends who are a bit more IT than me recovered the video, which is where I was able to post it. And you'll see the guy walk across and grab my phone, didn't want the evidence. And it was just...
So that tells you they knew what they were doing was wrong and over the top.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Then, as we got to our, and it's there in black and white, as we got to our seats, young girls coming in, smelling of tear gas, their eyes all red. At half-time, there was one older chap with his son's Villa fan, and his eyes were bloodshot, and he'd been tear-gassed on the stairs as he came in. Guys, sometimes there's two sides to a story. We've been going to football for 40 years, and you think maybe, we were a bit raucous outside a bar. People are away having fun. And you keep your head down in Europe. We all know that. This was 100% just police and steward aggression towards a lot of families.
And it's a theme that happens when these events seem to happen in France as well, which is a little bit concerning, isn't it, Rob? Rob, thank you very much for your message, and thank you very much for getting in touch with us and letting us post that video again. We'll try and recirculate that video again, especially with that bit at the end where the steward or the policeman takes the phone off him and tries to delete the video. Absolutely fascinating. 03717223344. I mean, I think we forget sometimes that for a lot of people, the majority of people that travel away with English teams, and England as well, they do a brilliant job of supporting the team. They spend a lot of time and money and effort to get there, and then to experience that, I mean, it's just I just don't understand it. Because you would expect that actually what the other football clubs want is more people to come and visit.
Exactly, yeah. And I guess, as Rob just, eloquently explained there, he obviously has videoed and he said there wasn't anything to have caused that. Yeah. He feels as if he's experienced enough in terms of travelling and watching Aston Villa that I'm sure he would have said, and you would have caught some bits on the video if there had been. And that's the worrying part, is why did it need to escalate to that stage for people that are just going to try and enjoy their football.
Yeah, more details, 03717223344 if you were involved in that. It hasn't been a great week for English teams in European competition. Only one English side winning, and that was Aston Villa last night. Tuesday, Galatasaray beat Liverpool, Atletico Madrid beat Spurs, Newcastle drew with Barcelona, maybe could have won that game if it hadn't been for that late penalty. 1-1 Leverkusen against Arsenal. Arsenal got a little bit fortunate with their penalty. PSG beat Chelsea 5-2. Real Madrid 3-0 winners. 0-0 Larnaca Palace, and Midtjylland came to the City Ground last night and won. What happened?
Well, I think you're probably the one to explain yourself there, because you got a bit of stick from Gabby last week. English arrogance, I think was the
week before.
Was the phrase that he
Week
used
before.
when you said that English teams should dominate the knockout stages. They probably will win all three of these European competitions. They still might. They still might.
Inflate what I said. I didn't say they probably would, did I? I said they could. I asked the question, could they win all three?
What do you think now?
Well, first of all, I look like a bit of a donut for predicting that all of the teams would have a good week. I don't think we ever said that they would all go through, but I did expect them to be much better than they were last couple of days. I may get it wrong, and we might not have a European winner this season from the Premier League, but I still think we will. I still think there will be at least one, maybe two. And it was not English arrogance. It was based on the evidence of watching the teams over the course of the season and watching Barcelona, watching Real Madrid, watching PSG this campaign, and believing that they are not as good as those Premier League teams when they're at their very best. I think Leverkusen not strong enough either. I didn't expect them to beat Arsenal, and I still don't actually. And to be honest, I think Newcastle panned out exactly as I suggested it would do, with Barcelona wedded to the high line and Newcastle exposing them in behind. My phrase was never that the Premier League team should beat every European team, with the exception of Real Madrid, Barcelona, and possibly Bayern Munich. It was never about saying they will. It's about they should. They should, because of the resources they've got, because of the fact that they earn more money than everybody else. So why aren't they?
Because, the Premier League is just taking off in terms of its intensity and what the players have to do. And I had a quick look into exactly how quickly this trend is taking off for the Premier League. So, look, I'm not an unbelievable maths and graphs, but when you've got a horizontal and a vertical line, when the Premier League is in the top right corner and all the other European teams are a lot further towards the bottom left corner, and this is in terms of high intensity in and out of possession, number of high intensity and sprint actions are up, high pressures are up, counter pressing's up, acceleration versus peak speed is up, explosive actions is up. All of these things in and out of possession is so far away from the other European leagues that has to play a part somewhere along the line when they don't get a break. So in every game throughout the season, their intensity is way higher than any other league, and then that is why I as well think we're starting to see even the best European teams counter-attack against English teams. But think of the goals we've just seen over the last few nights.
All those statistics can be used as a positive, as reasons for why English teams...
We should be sharper.
Yes.
Arguably.
But we're getting into March. So they've been doing this since August.
But Man City made 10 changes against Newcastle in the FA Cup, so they had no excuse not to be fresh
Chelsea
for that
made
game.
9.
Yeah, but
Tottenham didn't play for 6
players,
days.
Those players still 6 days. Come on, 6 days. Is that what we're going on?
Oh, you go down the Martin Keown route.
No, I'm not. I'm just
play too much football.
No,
I'm
bigger
just
squads.
saying.
Stop spending all your money on 4 or 5 top-level players.
I'm saying
and expand your squads.
but
Use your squads. Rotate better.
Yeah, but what we're doing is we're comparing to the other leagues that get a winter break, and they also get their league go, do you know what? Don't bother playing this weekend in your league.
Which is what Ligue 1 have done this weekend.
Make sure you're fresh for the Champions League.
Here's a question.
That is going to make a difference.
You know this already, right? So you know what the calendar is. When you wake up on August the 1st, you know the fixtures that you're going to have to play, when you're going to have to play them, right? So you're well aware of how hard it's going to be. You choose to play at that intensity. You may have to because that's the league you're in and everybody else is doing it, but you're choosing to do that. So it is also incumbent on you as an institution to make sure you've got the resources, bearing in mind the top 10 of the European Money League includes Chelsea, Tottenham, Manchester United, Arsenal, City and Liverpool. The only teams that are above them are PSG, Barcelona, Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich. To be able to repurpose those resources in the right way.
Yes, but there's only so many top-level players in the world. You can't just magically make them up.
Then you have to adapt the way you play, right?
But you can't in the league that you're in.
Can I chuck one out there? Maybe the Premier League is competitive, no question about that. You only have to see what Wolves have done against Arsenal recently and Liverpool, Aston Villa as well, some of the top teams in the country. But maybe it's not quite as good quality-wise as we think it is.
No, it's not.
Maybe that's been exposed.
Because the intensity of every team is so high that, maybe you are going to, dampen down some of the quality because of that. But it doesn't matter. You could pay me $100,000 a week or $200,000 a week. I still can only get so much out of my body without the rest that you're going to need. And against another league where they are getting the rest, that is going to play out when we get to this stage of the season.
But is that then not a league-wide problem that they've spent too much of their playing budget on a smaller pool of players when actually they probably now need, if they want to play this style of football, an NFL-style roster which is much bigger so that they can switch players in and out for competition so that the quality and the intensity that they require remains high?
That's the only way, isn't it? But like I said, there's only a certain number of these elite level players. Ultimately, when you're starting 15, should we say, if you have 3, 4, 5 missing, how many teams in the Premier League can really replace those players?
The other aspect is maybe we come to the boil too early, because I remember last season in the league phase, Liverpool won it, got knocked out in the round of 16, having thought, well, this is our chance to get to the final. You look at the last 4 years, we've had one English winner in 4 years. That was Manchester City in 2022. Last 2 years, we haven't had an English team in the final of the Champions League, despite the fact that we dominate in the league phase. Teams like PSG and Real Madrid seem to know, in this new format, how to time their run.
Well, the format's only been here for 2 years.
But PSG timed it to perfection last season.
Last year, but we'll see if they do this time.
But it looks like Real Madrid might this season, based on what we saw in midweek.
But Manchester City didn't go through last year in the top 8, did they? And they didn't exactly time their run perfectly.
But also, Crook, those teams can have a weekend off almost in their league. Yep. They can get through games. You cannot have a weekend off in the Premier League. You can't.
Should they bring back a winter break? 03717223344, the official winter break, mid-season break back in 2019-20 and 23-24. Between those two dates, there was a 2-week period where everybody got, I think, 14 days off without playing. Some got more. In fact, actually, if you look at the way the season is, I think the season is scheduled badly, by the way, because if you go to what happens after this week, have a look at the amount of games that Liverpool are going to be playing after the Carabao Cup final or when everyone comes back from the international break. Crystal Palace, I don't think they've got a game for 4 weeks. If they don't go through in Europe, they won't play a game for 3.5 weeks. Because if you're not in the FA Cup and you're not in the quarterfinals and you're not in European competition anymore by the time you get to this stage, the season starts to thin out. So surely there's got to be a mechanism somewhere along the line to take fixtures out of the most congested period in the Premier League season and put them in the back end where it's not as congested, surely.
It feels that way, but also we're quite wedded to our British holidays in terms of cramming everything in when people are off work and available, and is that really ever gonna change? And also the league, the Premier League don't help the teams like other leagues do in terms of trying to schedule it so they give you as much of a chance in Europe.
And do you know what someone said to me this week? The fact that that's because television won't allow them to move a fixture from the middle of the weekend and just not schedule it. But I don't think that's true, because if you turn round to any of the broadcasters, us included, by the way, and said, by the way, that Chelsea game that's on at 5:30 on Saturday night, just have the weekend off, lads, and we'll move that to the back end of the season and put it in a midweek when it means even more. I think they would all take that.
Is that true, though? Because wasn't the reason we didn't get the full Boxing Day programme this year because under the current deal, 32 of the 38 game weeks have to take place over weekends?
Well, that's what they said, but Boxing Day was on a Friday.
We had one game, didn't we, on the Friday?
Friday is part of the weekend because they.
No, I think it's Saturday and Sunday.
But they put games on a Friday and a Monday every week. 03717 2233 44 is the number to call if you want to get in touch and give us your view on that. This is talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and Dean Ashton. And Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's Real Deal at selcobw.com.
So to me, the manager, when you look at him and the way that they're reacting to him as a manager, is everything that I need to know that this guy is absolutely out of his depth and he's got to get out of that football club.
Yeah.
Because if they stick with this guy, we are gone. This club is gone. Yeah. And then at the end of the season...
Who knows? But hold on a second.
At the end of the season...
So you change a manager and your fortune's going to change?
No, I'm not saying they're going to change, but it can't get any worse. No, it can't get any worse than his
We
manager.
drew the second half today.
Jay, shut up!
Honestly, you lot, I don't know what you want.
Stop going on about the second half. You can't keep going on about it. Like, seriously, mate. Seriously, shut up. You can't keep talking about the second half. Oh, we drew the second half, mate. Honestly, I'm trying not to swear. Like, you can't keep saying that, mate. You can't keep saying that. You're a professional pundit. You can't keep saying that.
You did draw the second half.
Mate, I'm trying to be professional here. I'm not going to. I'm going to swear. I'm going to swear. Go to a break.
You've done it again, haven't you? You've done it again. You've walked. Jay? He's walked out again. I mean, factually, they drew the second half.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
It's talkSPORT. Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Dean Ashton. We're here till 1 o'clock this afternoon. It's Gold Cup Day. We'll do a preview of that a little bit later on. We're going to look ahead to some big games in the Premier League. Nathan says, great show, lads. Thank you very much. Quick one on the winter break. I think it'll all be pointless. All clubs will do is book friendlies abroad to make more money to help onwards and PSR. The only issue with that is actually what they did brilliantly was the Premier League put in place that they couldn't do that with the winter break last time. So it didn't happen in those 3 years that it was in the Premier League. One solution is to change the League Cup not to have Premier League teams in it. That would kill the League Cup, Adam. I don't think that's a solution that the EFL would go for either. And actually, some of the best days out are Carabao Cup final day, aren't they?
I think the Carabao Cup's a great competition.
You get that divide of fans right down the middle. It's less corporate. It's just a brilliant cup final.
And the big teams take that competition very seriously.
Quite
Look how
right,
many times Pep Guardiola has won it or been in the final.
Donald Trump says it's not appropriate that Iran are going to the World Cup for their own safety. He says the US President, Donald Trump, has said the Iran men football team are welcome at the 2026 World Cup, but it's not appropriate for them to be there for their own life and safety. Iran due to face New Zealand and Belgium in Los Angeles on the 15th and the 21st of June, respectively, and Egypt in Seattle on the 26th of June. But their participation has been brought into doubt since the US and Israel launched strikes on the country. Now, I'm loath to get into a debate about their participation in the World Cup for a number of reasons. It's a fast-moving situation, and no one really knows what the next few weeks hold. We've got relatives and friends that are in the Middle East, and as much as we all love football, it's hardly the most important and significant thing right now. Trump has constantly changed his mind on everything, and he always alters depending on what the circumstances are. So guaranteeing something that he said today and what happens later down the line, I just think is just wait and see. And no one has really seen what's going to happen in Iran. We don't know if that regime is going to survive or not. The other thing is March. The World Cup doesn't kick off to the middle of June. The reason I suppose it's significant is that the playoffs are about to take place, which is key, and that FIFA and their statute has always insisted there must be no government involvement in football. But as we know, despite that phrase, sport and politics do mix. They do go hand in hand, and they're often intertwined. How do you see it?
Well, it's not just that. I said when I was over at the World Cup draw in Washington at the back end of last year, this is fast becoming Donald Trump's World Cup. The fact they gave him a made-up peace prize at that ceremony told you all you needed to know. The fact he was stopping and asking questions to reporters as he arrived on the red carpet. And Gianni Infantino, who, let's not forget, on Wednesday said on social media that he had had conversations with President Trump, and during those discussions, Trump had reiterated the Iranian team would be welcome to compete in the tournament. This is a president of a football organisation, a sporting body, who's got far too cosy with the President of the United States, and it's basically Donald Trump now calling all the shots.
I think, Sam, you're right in terms of, this is only football, and the safety certainly of the players and the staff of the Iranian nation, if they do travel to the World Cup, is paramount. So, this clearly isn't helpful in that situation, but there are more important things than football. They shouldn't mix. They are. It's very confusing, I think, for everybody. And you do wonder at what point there's a worry of whether it will go ahead in the US or not. At what point is that a genuine threat?
I can't see that.
It will definitely go ahead.
Yeah, I can't see that.
I can't see there'll be any way. Do you know what? We had these scare stories about the Russia World Cup being not taking place, the Brazil World Cup not taking place, Qatar was going to be a disaster. It happens every single time. World Cup football becomes World Cup land whenever you go to a major tournament. It will happen. There's too much money involved. They will always make it happen. But like I said before, it's not the most important thing in this debate. So actually, like you've just said correctly, safety and security of players, participants and fans is the most important thing. That's what's got to be prioritised. We're going to talk Tottenham next.
I'm going to interrupt
Pew
you.
outrage
We
now
haven't
from all
spoken
those.
about Arsenal, really. Was it a penalty last night for Arsenal?
No.
No.
Did you think it was a penalty?
No, I didn't.
I know one person who did.
Martin Keown felt
blind
it was a
Pew.
definite penalty after Madueke went down under a challenge in the game against Leverkusen. It resulted in a penalty, and that was put into the back of the net by Havertz, who didn't celebrate because it would be wrong to do so. But again, is this not back to objectivity? Or does Martin have every right to say, it was a penalty? Of course it was a penalty.
But he knows.
Played the game, you didn't, nor did I.
Of course. But I've also got a set of eyes. And I wear glasses, and so does he. The question that was asked of him by the presenter, I think it was Lindsay, wasn't it? Said to him, if you was an Arsenal player and that was given against you, and he said, well, no, well, you're switching question, because he knows the answer. If he was an Arsenal player and that was given against him, he'd be outraged. It was a penalty because the referee said it was.
All right.
And that's the end of the discussion, really, isn't it? But was it a penalty in terms of a real foul in the penalty box where a player was really taken out of his stride and fell over? No, it was a dive.
580,000 people have read your tweet directed at a certain Martin Keown about what you thought of Martin saying, for me, it was a penalty. You've jumped in, oh dear Martin, and then a little expletive. Did I say that old Keown lacks objectivity? Yes, he is the grand fromage of bias. Where did you pluck that one from?
I don't know, maybe I was eating some camembert at the time.
An evening at home with Simon Jordan with some camembert.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range, supporting van owners to get the job done. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Harry Redknapp's told talkSPORT it's a dream just to have a runner in today's Gold Cup, let alone be in with a shout of winning it.
I love the racing game, always have, and the people in it. And but it's a very open race today. There's so many horses. It really is. Everything goes there with a chance today.
Redknapp's Jukebox Man is the attention-grabbing favourite in the Gold Cup, live on talkSPORT at 4 p.m. Meanwhile, after the new Spurs CEO Vinay Venkateshan blamed Daniel Levy for the club's recent troubles, Redknapp says Joe Lewis was top dog anyway, and the former chairman was good to him.
Carafal was there, Luka Modric was there, Ledley King. It wasn't like but whenever I asked him to back me in the main, there was one window where we didn't get the back in, but then I don't know whether that was Daniel or what.
Igor Tudor speaks to the press at 1:30 p.m. ahead of their trip to Anfield. Liverpool's goalkeeper Alisson could be fit for that one, but more likely returns to face Galatasaray next week. Meanwhile, Arne Slot doesn't want to jump to conclusions about a poor week for English clubs in Europe, but tiredness could be an issue.
I think in general it's not helpful for English club not to have a winter break, but I'm not saying now that all these teams have lost because we don't have a winter break. Why? Because you are facing, in the last 16 of Europe, you're facing very good teams.
Chelsea captain Reece James has extended his contract till 2032. Bournemouth boss Andoni Iraola says there's no news about his contract, but he isn't concerned about that affecting his players. And Brighton manager Fabian Herzler admits he admired what Arsenal are doing, but stands by his comments, asking for clear rules on time wasting. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The Chancellor says she won't accept profiteering or exploitation of the Iran conflict from fuel retailers. Meanwhile, the government's coming under fire as the economy flatlined in January. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Today it's raining tyres in our centres, including top-notch brands like Pirelli. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
A brighter day today, but cold and windy. Some showers about. Most of these in the north and west, some of those heavy.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it! Oh! Oh!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
talkSPORT, Sam Matterface, it's Alex Crook, and it is Dean Ashton. We're here right the way through until 1 o'clock this afternoon. It's Gold Cup Day. We're a bit excited about that, aren't we? Because we're going out a little bit later to watch it.
We are. I'm looking after you for the afternoon.
Yeah, well, this is, which makes a change, doesn't it? although you said to me you're looking after me for the afternoon, you have asked me to plot our route to our destination because you are useless.
Well, yes.
At getting your way anywhere.
Yes, my Paddington senses will come to the
Just
fore.
make sure you stick to your own pace, Matterface.
Don't try and match him.
No,
I know.
No.
I know. Listen, I've been doing
And
it.
that could be key in the Gold Cup as well. You don't want to go off too far. It's a bit of a slog.
We definitely don't match Crook pace, do we?
No.
That's dangerous for everybody. There will be definitely no commentary on Monday Night Football if I try to match him. Tottenham Hotspur have delayed season ticket renewals, which normally open by the 15th of March until the end of the season. A statement read this to season ticket holders yesterday: "We recognise the seriousness of the current league position, and following discussions with our fan advisory board and the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, we can confirm the renewal window for 2026-27 will now remain open for an extended period until Sunday, the 7th of June. And this is because, of course, the relegation is a real threat now, and even the club are recognising that that could be a possibility. This comes as talkSPORT understands that Igor Tudor has already alienated much of the Spurs squad. His treatment of goalkeeper Antonin Kinski during Tuesday night's hammering at Atletico Madrid did not go down with the dressing room. First of all, Crook, why don't you tell us, because you're the inside man here, what you understand the state of play to be?
I think a lot of the senior Spurs players, if you like, already have big reservations about Igor Tudor and his man management, and those were only exasperated by what happened with Kinski. I thought it was quite pointed. Jed Spence was also not acknowledged by his manager when he went off and came back and made a very public display of shaking his hand. So I think this is an appointment that is unravelling very quickly. I believe that conversations have taken place already between Spurs and potential other managers. Sean Dyche has been mentioned in the last 72 hours or so, but I think he would want a long-term contract, not a deal until the end of the season. There was even talk of Ange Postecoglou possibly being asked to return. I don't think, having made inquiries this morning, that will happen. Ryan Mason as another interim for the third time is a possibility, and I think they realise, the Tottenham hierarchy, that this appointment is going to have to come to an end. I would say.
Why aren't they putting it to an end immediately? Because by keeping in place, aren't you in danger of doing further damage?
Yeah, probably. But it's the turnaround in games, isn't it? Obviously played in Madrid on Tuesday night, another farcical first half there. They've got a trip to Liverpool, which were the greatest one in the world. You wouldn't expect them to get anything from. Then they've got the second leg to contend with. Then they play Forest in a massive game in the Premier League. And then...
That's the key one.
Then there's a 3-week break. Because the international break and because of the fact they're out of the FA Cup.
Could you sacrifice that Forest game? You've got to target that, haven't you?
Well, I think you have, because it feels crucial to their season. But again, from what I'm told this week, they don't know what to do, the hierarchy. They've got themselves into a mess. And obviously there's been some negative comments about the way that Daniel Levy was running the football club. I maintain that it wouldn't have got to this situation had Daniel Levy still been in charge. I think he would have ended the Thomas Frank experiment much earlier, and I don't think he would have hired Igor Tudor on a temporary basis.
We will go back to the Daniel Levy debate in just a second, because Vinay Ventukesham has had some interesting things to say on that. But Dean, talk to me. You've been in dressing rooms, some thriving, some not so. What's going on in there right now, and what effect does all of that stuff that happened on Tuesday night have on the mood?
Well, I do find it interesting that sort of, coming out as if, senior players aren't having the manager. Well, he's probably not having you either, to be honest. And haven't for a while.
Dean Ashton hates footballers.
I certainly don't. But they need to be called out at the same time. It's too easy once again to just say, well, they're not having the manager. What will be going on in there is you will be judging the manager straight away.
You can't treat players like he treated Kinski. I know.
Ultimately, he
made a mistake.
No, I thought it was the right decision to take him off.
Yeah, but
it was the wrong decision to play him in a game of that magnitude.
Right decision just to ignore him as he went off, not put an arm around the shoulder.
Oh, poor.
This is a kid, effectively.
He's not. He's 22 years old, and ultimately, you are in a ruthless environment, and if you cannot handle it, and you can't handle the manager dragging you off because you've been absolutely useless for the first 17 minutes, you shouldn't be in the business. That is what it is. It's who handles pressure and who doesn't lose their...
I bet you were fun in the dressing room.
Who doesn't lose their confidence just because the manager doesn't put their arm round you when you've had a shocker?
He did make a mistake by putting him into that game, though, didn't he?
Well, it feels like that. Of course it does. But he felt he had to give him the opportunity because Vicario he didn't feel was up to the standard he wanted.
But when we went to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the previous Thursday, there were loads of rumours about the fact that he was going to change Vicario for Kinski on that occasion. If you're going to do it, that's the game to do it, isn't it? When you're at home in front of your own supporters in a game which you've got a better chance of winning in than going into a hostile environment in the last 16 of the Champions League against Atletico Madrid. That seems a little bit unwise.
Yeah, it wasn't a Carabao Cup tie away to a League One team to make a change like we see so often in England. It was going away to Atletico Madrid. I think that was clearly a mistake to put him into that environment when he hasn't played, and he's still young and inexperienced, but it was then the right decision to drag him off. It might have been the right decision to ignore him. You don't know then whether he's had a conversation with him after the event to smooth things over. In that moment, Iochuda's absolutely raging that his goalkeeper has just gifted them 2 goals away in Madrid.
Raging ever since he walked in, to be honest.
He is, and I think it's the appointment that felt very left field. Didn't necessarily know where it came from. And you know, I know that certainly talkSPORT has interviewed and pushed someone like Harry Redknapp, and Tim Sherwood's been on TV as well talking about that. This is a situation where you haven't got anyone that understands this situation. You haven't got anyone, the players, the staff, the owners. They don't understand the position because they've not been there.
Then? Should they go for someone?
They need somebody that is calm and understands the severity of the situation, but then needs to give some confidence.
Who is that?
And clear instructions to the players. But people almost laugh now about Harry Redknapp as if it would be a joke appointment. He knows I think he knows football. I think he knows how to walk into a dressing room. Oh, he's been out of the game too long. Nonsense. Still football. Well, it's still football people.
Well, Martin O'Neill's done at Celtic. If you want an example of where that wise old head can come in and have an impact.
Exactly.
So
I think what they should do is they park your pride and go and get someone that will be calm and understand the situation you're in to get you out of it. Otherwise, you'll get relegated.
I made a joke at lunch the other day where I said that what they need is that they need that moment where Harry walks in and goes up to the table. They're in the canteen. This is when he first walked back into Tottenham after the one-day Ramos era. And he puts down a bottle of ketchup on the table and says, "There you go, lads, crack on." Because he was just like restoring a little bit of normality to the situation after everything had been stripped out by one-day Ramos. It was too strict or whatever. And he was adding a little bit of levity to it as well. And that was the closest they'd come to relegation, actually, prior to being relegated in 1978. So would he be the answer? Could he be the answer? I mean, he's a bit busy today, but...
It could be the answer after today. Listen, I think he could. I think what you know about Harry is that, maybe tactically he's not number one in the world, but I think he's better tactically than people give him credit for. But when it comes to man management, which is what you need in this position, he has the ability to galvanise a dressing room and get players playing for him. They didn't play for Thomas Frank. They're not playing for Igor Tudor. I think there's still a lot of players in that dressing room who didn't feel like it was the right decision to sack Ange Postecoglou, and that's a lingering problem. So this is a player issue. I do agree with Dean on that more than the manager, because they've got to stand up and be counted now, but I think they do need the right manager in order to get them to do that.
Okay, talk to me about the man who's supposed to be running the club in Vinay Venkatesham, who came in from Arsenal under Daniel Levy, actually. He said during a meeting with the club's fan advisory board at the start of the month that alleged mistakes from the Levy era meant that Tottenham, contrary to popular belief, faced pressure to adhere to financial rules and must sell players. Now, this is after the removal of Daniel Levy precipitated a briefing from the club that they were going to spend their way to sporting success. This is what he identified as the key issues for Tottenham during that meeting. He said there was insufficient focus across the organisation on pitch success, a lack of specialist expertise in certain areas and insufficient empowerment of others and experts, a wage structure and player transaction approach that had impacted competitiveness in the transfer market. That's like gobbledygook managerial speak for terrible recruitment. Men's squad are requiring strengthening in terms of quality, experience and leadership. Financial pressures arising from heavy transfer spending and limited player sales, increasing the relevance of financial fair play constraints, and an internal culture requiring improvement in a number of areas. He's just basically thrown Daniel Levy under the bus, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I'd actually love Simon Jordan to be sat here to respond to this, because I think it's a lot of nonsense, to be honest. If they're under the financial pressures that he says they are, why were they trying to sign Eberechi Eze in the summer? Why were they offering Antoine Semenyo, as I understand it, £200,000 a week? Can they not afford that? They're trying to spend above their means? Is that what he's suggesting?
Well, obviously he's suggesting that there was a wage structure and player transaction approach that had impacted the competitiveness in the transfer market. So he's saying there they didn't offer enough to players. And then he's saying that there is financial pressures arriving from heavy transfer spending and limited player sales. So which one is it?
Yeah, under Daniel Levy, weren't they the most profitable Premier League club around?
I mean, it sounds like the biggest deflection ever, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's a massive, massive deflection. Who didn't know that Tottenham weren't in the market for the best players, and that was hampering them over the last 10 years? We all knew that they had a certain level and a structure in terms of what they would pay players and certainly transfer fees, and that's the club that they are. And he's pulled them through, taking them into a brand new stadium, which of course would have, cost.
Creates pressures on the finances.
Of course it does. So you've got to manage your way through that, which is what Daniel Levy did. Now, some supporters may say, well, we loved White Hart Lane, but what have they created there? Obviously, as an ex-West Ham player, I've seen that change of stadium and how that's sat with the supporters. Well, you can't say that you haven't been given the best of the best as a Tottenham supporter, and he's tried to guide you through that. As his decision-making's always been right in terms of managers and players, or the team behind him, definitely not. But it's not that long ago that they were a top-level side in the Premier League, certainly.
You can question Daniel Levy for a lot, but what you can't do is question him as a businessman, and that's what Vinay seems to be doing here. And I've got the stats now in front of me. I know I wasn't just making it up off the top of my head. In his 24 years in situ, Tottenham made a profit of 167 million. That's 65 million pounds more than any other club.
Pressure all of a sudden.
Well, they're not, are they? They're under financial pressure if they go down, because despite what some people have been saying, those players, not man for man, are going to be taking pay cuts in the Championship.
They're not going to be able to sell
no chance
that easily, are they? And the other thing we probably should mention is that if they go down, largely there'll be nothing to do with Daniel Levy. Well, not nothing to do with Daniel Levy, but a large part of it will be to the fact that Ventukesham and Johan Langer actually appointed a manager who's never managed in the Premier League before. That would probably have to be questioned as well. 03717 2233 44 is the number to call if you want to get in touch in that debate. It is a club that's in a serious issue. They take on Liverpool at the weekend, and we'll focus on their opponents next. 03717 2233 It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and the dashboard, Dean Ashton. We're here through till 1 o'clock with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com.
Six Premier League teams into the last 16 and not one winner this week. What's it telling us that? What it tells Henry Winter, incidentally.
Tells them when they were playing away from home.
He says on Twitter, I feel the winter break debate coming on again in the Premier League. It's obviously needed. Even with expanded squads, elite players risk fatigue, less training time, etc. But too many vested interests preventing it from happening.
Oh, let's clutch those pearls and get some more interviews from people. Look, all the teams were playing away. That might give you an indication that there was a challenge there for a start. I mean, nobody expected Spurs to win, so let's discount that equation. Chelsea hurt themselves.
Liverpool were at home.
Liverpool were at home. Newcastle at home. That's the one example, and they got a decent result and actually should have won that game. So you look at it and say Arsenal did their job. Liverpool probably did their job. Chelsea imploded and gave it back to PSG when there was no reason for it. Spurs are what they are, and Man City got some of their own medicine.
I'm not sure Liverpool did their job. Galatasaray, and you lose.
Everybody in their right mind would say going away and coming back with a 1-0 defeat in a European competition, a knockout tournament against another significant side, is not a bad result.
So no sobering reality for the Premier League of any sort this week?
Well, it depends what reality we were creating from in the first place. If we were steering towards yours...
PSG got real with Chelsea last night.
Not really. Chelsea did it to themselves. Chelsea were in that game for significant proportions of it, and all of a sudden, up pops the goalkeeper with one of those wonderful little epiphanies. Let's play out with the back like some religious ideology, because we can't launch the ball. We're going to play out from the back because that's what we've been told to do.
Yeah, but there's a small matter, Simon, of them shipping 5 goals as well.
Sure. If they didn't concede the third, they wouldn't concede the fourth and fifth.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We're taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology.
How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Inside Series on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Watch the latest Inside Series episode live on talkSPORT's YouTube channel now. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Games in charge this week for Arne Slot, the Liverpool manager. His 62 wins is the same as St Kelly Dalglish. Yet the club lost 7 matches in his first 50 games. In his second 50, they lost 16 times. On this topic, let's catch up with the latest Inside Series thanks to BetMGM. And on this week's Inside Liverpool, winger Jermaine Pennant gave some of his own stats on Arne Slot after hearing about the Dutchman winning 62 of those 100 in charge.
We've lost to Galatasaray twice without scoring a goal. They finished 20th in the league phase. We've lost both to Man City and Man United at Anfield. We've lost 4-1 to PSV. Then the next game after that, 3-0 to Forest at home, both games at Anfield. We failed to beat Leeds twice this season. We failed to beat all 3 promoted teams at Anfield. We've lost 3 times to Crystal Palace this season. Lost to Wolves, Brentford and Bournemouth away. Now, I don't know who you blame for that. I don't know if you blame the players or the manager, but hearing that is absolutely shocking. As current Premier League champions, that is dreadful.
Jermaine Pennant there on Inside Reds. And if you want to watch the latest Inside Series, all the episodes are available on talkSPORT's YouTube channel. That's all thanks to BetMGM. 18+, begambleaware.org.
Inside Series on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Watch the latest Inside Series episode live on talkSPORT's YouTube channel now. 18+, gambleaware.org.
Are those fair stats for Jermaine Pennant to use in his argument against Arne Slot?
Well, they are facts, aren't they? So, and it depends on the standard which you judge Liverpool by, and them standards have certainly dropped a long way below what was set last season. But then again, the playing squad is very different, and I think has the quality though of the playing staff dropped? Maybe not the quality, but the profile has. They look a different team when you watch them. They do struggle to certainly break teams down. They're slow in the build-up. They lack pace. They genuinely lack pace, especially at the top end of the pitch. Luis Diaz being, I think, one of the key players that's been missed in terms of just that ability. And Rio Engamora has been given a couple of chances, but I'm surprised he hasn't been given a little bit more, because he's that kind of explosive player that they've kind of missed this season. They've been so easy to play against at times because of the lack of pace.
The fact that they've conceded so many chances. I was with them on Tuesday night against Galatasaray, and they just gave up so many chances. They missed so many chances, but they gave up so many chances as well. They are a different team.
I can feel Arne Slot's bored of saying that same thing.
What, that they keep creating chances and not scoring goals?
Yes.
That's definitely an issue. I mean, they weren't brilliant towards the end of last season, by the way. That's the first thing that probably needs to be noted. They sort of edged towards the title rather than after absolutely bossing the first half of the campaign. But Salah's form's fallen off a cliff. Obviously, they've had the injury to Isak, which no one could have foreseen. Florian Wirtz has taken a bit of time to get into the Premier League, or actually got used to the players that are around him, I think more is more sort of apt. Ekitike's done well, but they need more goals from somewhere, and they've got to somehow stop shipping them. I mean, the defence has been very poor, I think.
It's been a vicious circle, really, when it comes to Liverpool, because probably the only player who's managed to maintain the standards he hit in that title-winning season has been Dominic Szoboszlai. Van Dijk, I think, has had more dicey games than you would expect him to. Konate was dreadful against Galatasaray in midweek. Mo Salah scored 5 Premier League goals all season. As you said, some of the summer signings haven't hit the ground running. I've been surprised how average Milos Kerkez has looked in a Liverpool shirt, which is one name you didn't mention. So it's been a season to forget. But if I were a Liverpool fan, and obviously I'm not, when you factor in what happened, the tragic circumstances with Diogo Jota at the start of the season, I think Arne Slot deserves another season to turn this around.
Is it a strategy problem? Because we talked before about intensity in the Premier League and how you have to have that tempo. And last year, one of the main facets of Arne Slot's team is that they were quite composed, controlled in games. He actually even complained that halfway through games sometimes they cost themselves because they dozed off in matches because they had so much control of the football. Is it the wrong approach for this Premier League?
Well, I think teams have targeted Liverpool, especially in that fullback area.
Because when they get drawn into an open game, they can't handle it.
They did before the changes of fullbacks that they've tried to make in the summer. Before that, Liverpool were targeted in the fullback areas, and I think Konate and Van Dijk, especially towards the start of the season, didn't handle that particularly well and were drawn out of their position too often, and you could sense the frustration between the two of them. So teams want Liverpool to have possession. That is why they have the top average possession in the league now, ahead of Manchester City, because teams know the best way to play Liverpool is to sit there, let them have the ball, let Van Dijk and Konate just pass it between themselves, because they know they haven't got the pace. And sometimes it is really simple football in that you need, pace is such a big factor. It just is. And I think in attacking areas, having that player that can, when a team sits deep, can go past another player and create that bit of chaos defensively is so important. They just haven't had it. Wirtz is the only one, but he's not quick. He's quick thinking and can do things quickly in terms of moving the ball just to open up a bit of space and starting to look really, really good before his injury. But nobody else can just run past somebody. That is such a big issue.
Just quickly, has there been a bit of an issue with the way we know there's a lack of connection between Slot and the fans? How does he turn that around?
difficult because actually I speak to a lot of Liverpool fans and I would say there's a big percentage who want that change. And obviously you've got Xabi Alonso available now, club legend, who I think they would have appointed ahead of Arne Slot had he been available, but everybody knew he was going to go to Real Madrid. So it's a concern. How do you turn it around? How do you reconnect? I think they do need to play a more exciting, expansive brand of football because that's the common complaint, that they move the ball too slowly.
Okay, 03717223344. If you're a Liverpool fan, you want to have your say on that, you can WhatsApp us, you can send us a text message 81089. This is talkSPORT. We're going to have a little look ahead to the Gold Cup very shortly. And we're going to ask, what is it that makes a good striker? We'll do that next. This is talkSPORT.
If you're taking out form right now, it has to be Harvey Barnes.
Yeah.
I mean, every time he steps on the pitch, I don't think he's going to score. He's so powerful and so quick. When he runs, it's almost like, oh my goodness, you're not catching him.
Yeah.
And that's where Thomas Tuchel, because I mentioned Barnes, Gordon, Rashford, Foden. You then got Palmer. I'm talking about attacking 10 attacking options.
Yeah.
You got Palmer, Saka, Madueke, Bowen, Bellingham can play 10. Rodgers can play left.
Yeah.
I mean, there are going to be some big names on that list that don't go.
Yeah, but annoyingly, out of all of those players, none of them are really smashing it at the moment. Rodgers maybe is doing pretty well. Bellingham's been out injured.
Yeah.
Nothing from Foden.
No,
Cole Palmer's gone a little bit cold.
Yeah. Saka's not, obviously the numbers haven't been there. Madueke's in and out. But
isn't that bizarre? If we were doing this World Cup a year ago, we'd be buzzing with those players.
But and as I said, Barnesy.
Barnesy, giving the old John Barnesy
yeah, Harvey Barnes. He's right now he's probably in the best form out of all of them.
On the left-hand side, Rashford was on the bench last night, right?
Yeah.
Who starts for England on the left for you out of those two, Rashford and...
Oh, Rashford would be first, because Rashford for England's been good.
He does?
Yeah.
Does that matter? It's a good point you make. Does that matter? If you're really good for England, but you're not doing it at club level, and some players are like that...
Danny Welbeck was a prime example of that.
Okay. Does your league form matter too much when the manager knows when you put the English shirt on, you perform?
Yeah, I think for certain players, I think it does matter. Because, again, a prime example was the last Euros, not the one in Germany, the one before that, sorry.
Yeah.
Where we was all saying Sterling can't go, his form wasn't there, and he was our best player.
That's a great point.
But you know what Sterling's going to get experience, you know exactly that when it's the highest, he can step up.
Who would have thought a sporting event's halftime show could have a bigger impact than the game itself? That seems to be the case with the Super Bowl halftime show. In 2024, Usher brought in an audience of 180 million worldwide, the biggest in the event's history. But how did singing and dancing get to be the centerpiece of America's biggest sporting event? The first Super Bowl was held in 1967. Initially, the halftime show was a display purely for the fans in the stadium, with marching bands, dancers, and American patriotism for all to see. And that's what it was for the first few years. Disney had a go with a few questionable displays in the 1980s, but it wasn't until '93 that we got the first glimpse into the future of halftime shows. Michael Jackson's stellar performance gave NFL execs something to think about. A raft of massive names followed, including Diana Ross, U2, Janet Jackson, who gave us the most famous or infamous wardrobe malfunction of all time. So how many people are involved? To give you an idea of the scale, Rihanna's 2023 performance included 800 people, and experts reckon it cost $13 million. What's even more impressive than some of the names on the bill every year is the fact they do it for free. The artists know the exposure they'll get from doing the show will rocket them up the charts across the world. The Super Bowl halftime show will be a fixture in pop culture for years to come. So the question is, who next?
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. We're ready for the action. Are you? Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus. Gambleaware.org.
It's talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook, and Dean Ashton. We're here right the way through until around about 1 o'clock this afternoon. And it is time to catch up with the latest odds, all thanks to BetMGM. And I'm delighted to say we're joined by Dan Towers from BetMGM to look at today's top sporting events. Dan, how are you? You okay?
Good morning, Mr. Matterface. Not bad, yourself?
Good, yeah. You didn't go to the darts last night, did you?
No, I didn't. No, travel back from Cheltenham yesterday. Been a very good week. Busy.
It has been a very good week. Have you recovered from a Cheltenham experience with Mr. Crook?
Oh, I'll tell you what, he's hard work, isn't he? Blimey. Come on.
He's hard work.
The whole day, even to the point where we managed to put him in a private car to go somewhere after the racing, and he moaned about the weather and it being too windy whilst we had to wait 2 minutes for the car.
I did hear that he complained that you made him walk in a wind tunnel. That's what he was telling me.
Oh, he didn't stop moaning all day, but he enjoyed himself, I think, as did Gabby.
He wasn't the only one who enjoyed himself, though, Dan, was he?
Should we go on to the darts?
Dan, did you have a nice time?
I did have a nice time.
Have we got him two-stepping across the room, by the way? Have we got that? Are you joking me? He's kiboshed it. He's absolutely.
Has he pulled rank?
He's pulled it.
Oh no!
Outrageous.
Oh, you were going to actually show it, were you?
Yeah, of course we were.
Okay, fine. No,
but apparently you've told them that they're not allowed to.
I thought you had some good moves, Dan. To be fair, I was impressed.
Really? Because you felt you needed to film it, didn't you?
So anyway, you obviously had a very good time, and also last night the Premier League darts was in Nottingham, and everyone seemed to be having a great night there with BetMGM, because I was in Nottingham last night. The Motorpoint Arena was absolutely packed for that. But the pick of the games this weekend that we've got to focus on is Liverpool against Spurs. How do you price that one up?
Yeah, lots been made about Spurs, obviously, in recent weeks, and the fixtures don't get much easier, and their record versus Sunday's opponents doesn't make for great reading. Reds have just lost once of their last 31 home games to Spurs and are unbeaten their last 14 since 2011. Liverpool are long odds on at 3-10, the draws at 24-5, and Spurs are 8-1. After this weekend, they've obviously got the return fixture against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, and they then face Nottingham Forest, which is obviously a huge game for both sides in the battle to beat the relegation. Wolves and Burnley, they're long odds on to head into the Championship, and then it looks like one of West Ham, Spurs, Nottingham Forest or Leeds. Still plenty of games to go, but if one of those four was to drop, who do you think it is?
Listen, I never thought that Tottenham would go down, but I'm starting to be convinced by that. I don't know what you think, Dean.
Well, yeah, out of all the teams at the moment, they are the ones that look like getting relegated. They don't look like they're going to win a game.
I think Scott Minto said on our Premier League All Access podcast last night, which is now out today, that they're the worst team in the Premier League right now.
I think Burnley might ask them to hold their beer, but I take his point on board. I think certainly Wolves are playing better than Spurs at the moment. I mean, it's too little too late in terms of them staying up. But yeah, I would make them second worst, probably behind Burnley. But it's a close run thing.
So who goes down then?
Tottenham.
God, surely that can't happen.
Well, West Ham are 6-4, Spurs are 8-5, Forest are 3-1, and Leeds are now even bigger at 6s.
Wow.
So I think that game against Forest in week after next is enormous.
I think I'd make Forest more likely to drop than West Ham. I just don't think they're scoring enough goals, Forest.
Just wonder about the impact of the Crescencio Somerville injury. That's the key one.
Yeah.
Let's stick with the Premier League and do our golden goals, Dan.
Let's do, yeah. Free-to-play game on the app, no deposit required, and you could win up to £250,000 if you correctly predict six correct scores for the weekend. But for you guys, we asked you to predict a score in one particular game, and with any correct score, we give £500 to our chosen charity, Prostate Cancer. Sam, you've already got 2 this season. Gabby has obviously got 2 this season. Mr. Crook, Dean, you'll be unaware of this. But
he's aware.
Oh, I'm aware.
Oh, are you? 0 out of 32. 0 out of 32.
So you didn't get one last week either?
But are you putting my Dinko Blue money in the pot?
So Sam, he come up to me at Cheltenham. He said, "And I'm not doing very well at golden goals, but I did tip a winner at Cheltenham today. Can you put £500 in the charity pot for me tipping a winner?"
Unbelievable. And that's literally, he's tipped every single horse at Cheltenham. He sent me a sheet with 150 horses. Is that why the voice is the way it is?
Yeah, probably. But back to golden goals. So let's try and get some more money in the pot. So Sam, we've given you Arsenal-Everton.
Arsenal 1, Everton 0.
Yeah, Arsenal unbeaten the last 6 versus Everton, and Toffee's only won one of their last 29 league away games at the Gunners, and I think that was in 2021. So Arsenal-Everton is a 19-4 chance. Dean, we've given you Palace Leeds.
Wouldn't it be funny if he got one on his first go?
It would be amazing, wouldn't it? It'd be incredible.
Go on, Dean.
And I fancy what I'm going to predict. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw.
That is the game, mate.
I am going to go for a 1-1 draw.
Yeah, only one team's drawn more at home than Palace this season, and no team has drawn more away than Leeds. So a point a piece could be a sensible selection. A 1-1 draw is 19-4 also. And then missed it, Meg. Alex Crook, you've chosen your game this week, so there's no excuses. You've gone for Man United.
You've chosen your game?
You did, yeah.
Yeah, I handpicked this one.
Get away with that?
I handpicked this one. Well, I need all the help I can get, clearly, and it's for charity. Let's not forget that. It's not just a crookie baiting exercise. I've followed Gab's advice because he keeps telling me to pick 2-1. So I've gone 2-1 United.
Yeah, Villa not done the league double over United since 1955 and have just won 2 of the last 37 league trips to Old Trafford. But a 2-1 United win is 13-2. So Arsenal 1, Everton 0. Sam, Dean, you've gone for Palace 1, Leeds 1. Crookie, you've gone for Man United 2, Villa 1. The treble pays 225-1, but let's try and put some more money in the pot for Cancer.
We've been a bit more conservative this week, I think. We can't let you go without discussing the final day of Cheltenham Gold Cup Day. Obviously, lots of talk about Jukebox Man and Harry Redknapp. That's always going to be the narrative, obviously. But compare its chances to, obviously, someone like Gaelic Warrior or even Greg Dorning, who's getting a lot of press.
Interesting, you said Greg Dorning. Yeah, like you said, a lot of talk about Harry Redknapp's horse, the Jukebox Man, and I don't think anyone would not want him to win. He comes into the race off the back of what was incredible King George back in December. He's a 72 shout, but I think Dan Skelton's Greg Dorning's got a great shout. He's 16-1. He fluffed his lines a little bit at Cheltenham back in January, but did win a big chase race at Haydock. And I think if he can settle into the race and come down the top end, I think he's got a hell of a chance at a big price.
Just got to clean up his jumping a little bit. Thank you very much, Dan. Appreciate that.
James.
That's Dan Towles from BetMGM. Looking ahead to all the latest weekend odds, visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18+, gambleaware.org.
You're listening to Matterface, Crook and Ashton on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deals at selcobw.com. And coming up in the next few minutes, we'll be talking about the secrets behind Brentford's success in signing strikers.
feel sorry for Kingston. Yeah, I feel.
How can you feel sorry for him, Jim?
I feel sorry for him.
I feel sorry for him on a human level, right? I feel sorry for him, right? 22 years old. He's been thrown in the deep end. I get it, and he's had a stinker, right? But he is a professional footballer. Like, he is a professional football player. He's the number 2 for Tottenham Hotspur. Like, you've got to have... Like, you're meant to be a decent keeper. You cannot come in a Champions League fixture and do what he done. Like, on a human level, I get it. You feel for him. Igor Tudor is an absolute charlatan for putting him in there in the first place to make that decision.
It's not his fault, is it?
Well, it is his fault because he picked him.
No, but,
and then he dragged him, and then he didn't even put his arm around him to say, don't worry, lad. He just walked down the tunnel, crying.
Right, listen, I've got an idea.
Igor Tudor didn't even put his arm around him to say,
listen, Jay, I've got an idea. Right? Harry Redknapp. It's been my choice for a number of weeks now.
Harry Redknapp is not...
No, hold on. Harry Redknapp is my number 1, right? He's got the Gold Cup coming up Friday. He wins that. Jukebox man. He's on a high. He's going in the jungle. We've heard he's going in the jungle, right? All Spurs fans should vote him out early. Vote him out early. Spurs fans, you can still play a part in your season. Vote him out early, and he may rock up to save your season.
Honestly.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. I'm taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion?
That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Win a VIP trip to the British Grand Prix on talkSPORT.
Listen up, F1 fans. We're sending 2 of you to the British Grand Prix on Sunday, the 5th of July at Silverstone. You'll have the full racing green trackside experience with exclusive grandstand seats, the inner track access that you need to watch the drivers roll into the paddock, plus all-day street food, a fully open bar, and much, much more. For your chance to win, text the word WIN to 83338. Text costs £2.50 plus your standard network rate, or you can call 0343 418 7260. Lines close on the 20th of March 2026 at 4 p.m, and that's when you need to answer if your phone rings. 18 plus, UK residents only. This is a network promotion. Full T's and C's at talksport.com. So for your chance to win, text WIN to 83338. The Brentford owner Matthew Benham has revealed that his recruitment philosophy prioritises strikers and their ability to get into scoring positions over their current finishing efficiency. Speaking at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, Sloan Sports Analytics Conference, Benham argued that finishing contains a high level of randomness and making positional more a reliable data-driven indicator of a striker's true value. Here, Benham explains what a good analytical model should be looking for in a striker.
For a striker, for example, receiving, getting in position is way more informative than finishing. There's an awful lot. There's an awful amount of randomness in actual finishing. So for example, if you show me two players at a similar level and they both scored 15 goals last season, but one of them had twice the number of chances, I want the guy who's had twice the number of chances. Even though you might say, oh, but he was more efficient, he was less efficient. The fact that he was getting in position for the shot, that's really important for us.
It's interesting, isn't it, the way that obviously they've had a high degree of success with strikers, so you can't really argue against it. But your initial reaction when we mentioned that, as a former Premier League striker, was to crease your face up.
Horror. But this is a fellow who spent his career getting lucky.
That's outrageous. No, the point is that obviously...
What about the football?
That yes, he's talking about a numbers game, which he's right to. If you get in there enough, it doesn't matter really who it is, they will eventually bobble one in.
Oh, I wanted an explanation as to why he scored at Fratton Park.
Okay, that wasn't a bobbler. That was the most concentrated I've ever been in my life to make sure I got over the top of the ball.
There was no one there near you or in goal.
Still got to finish it.
Yeah,
still got to finish it.
You're proving the point in the fact by saying you have to be in that position.
Yeah, so
it's position maximises the opportunity.
Yes, and I understand, the depths now that clubs are going to find those players that will fit the profile and get into those positions. There's no doubt the quality of striker has decreased.
You think so?
Over the last 20, 30 years, absolutely has it decreased. But the position of a striker has completely changed. I played in an era where you had someone with you, that you combined with, that you shared the load. You had someone to take the defenders away. These strikers are doing it all on their own. They don't get really any help. The 10 doesn't necessarily have to go and be close to you as a 9. The wingers are their own players now in terms of trying to score goals and the team looking to create for wingers. So I can understand why they're now going for players that can get into the positions, because the quality, I don't think, is the same as certainly what it was 20, 30 years ago.
Is it a little bit of a surprise that Matthew Benham would make this public during a conference like that, considering how successful he's been in procuring strikers and also doing it secretly? It was quite interesting, actually, because I've spent a bit of time with Matthew Benham before, but I know that for you, that was the first time you've ever seen his face.
Yeah, it's a bit strange because obviously he works very much in the Tony Bloom mould. In fact, they used to be business partners before they went their separate ways, as I understand it. And Tony Bloom keeps his data very private. And I thought Matthew Benham would be the same. So he has sort of, shown us behind the curtain a little bit with what he said there. But you're right, what you said at the top. When you look at Brentford's success in recruiting strikers, clearly this model is working. The likes of Ivan Toney and Mbumo and Wissa and now Igor Thiago, who actually on the Fiery Friday podcast with Dave Adrian Durham, we were talking about a lack of number 9s. I was basing it around England and what on earth are we going to do when Harry Kane retires from international football. Probably this is going to be his last World Cup, and there doesn't seem to be an ex-cab off the rank. But Igor Thiago, to me, Dean, I described him as the best worst player I've ever seen, because technically I don't think he's great, but he scores goals.
Yes, and it leads right into what he's just talked about in terms of finding that profile of player that is relentless in getting into those positions. I've talked about how the game's changed athletically, and so maybe finding that player that can constantly get into those positions, that is patient, that is structured and disciplined to make sure he's doing exactly what you're then asking. You don't bring in a player and then he tries to be something he's not. No. You're bringing him in to do a job that you've analytically looked at to get the most out of that player. That is a new kind of way of looking at it, because ultimately, why can't you find a player that can do that but can finish?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because he also defends Beto during the course of this discussion, saying that, his 4 goals from 28 shots, 9 of those are on target. He may not have hit the back of the net, but he's got in the right positions. At some point, that will change. Let's hear what you had to say.
So I think when we played Everton at our place late last year, Beto missed 3 one-on-ones, wouldn't he?
And you thought that's a future guy?
Any decent model worth its salt would give Beto an upgrade. Any player who manages to make 3 one-on-ones for his in a single game, even if he actually happens to miss them, and typically a one-on-one you're like 50-50 to score. The fact that he's got 3 one-on-ones, he's got to get an upgrade on any decent model. Obviously, he'll be the man in the street would slate him, but actually receiving is more important than
it really is.
It's interesting because Rog Bennett, who is curating that conference, is from Men in Blazers. He's a big Everton fan, so obviously his eyebrows were being raised at that moment in time. But that sort of is an example that if you listen to Matthew there and you could see his body language on our stream, he was being deadly serious about this. He was, this is the kind of thing he's looking for. He thinks this is the kind of thing that lends itself to producing a great striker in the future.
How exciting. How exciting for everyone to have these players coming through for us all. This is an entertainment business. He's not talking about entertainment. He's talking about data and end results, which is lovely and fantastic for business. I'm sure it is. Probabilities. But
there is something entertaining about strikers missing chances, though.
Is there?
I think it's quite entertaining watching Beto at times. Especially when he's up there with Tierno Barry. I call them the Chuckle Brothers earlier in the season.
But what about when Hoyland...
Chuckle.
What about when Hoyland was doing it? You weren't chuckling then, were you?
He wasn't missing chances. If you remember the big argument that you and I had at half-time on air in Bilbao was that he wasn't getting himself in position to score goals. He wasn't.
Why did you want him to come off?
Because he was hopeless. Didn't know where to run. That's the whole point.
But I just think I'm an old romantic, and I will continue to be an old romantic in that I want to see something special when I go to watch any game. I want to see something special from my forward players, whether that is a fantastic finish, whether it's a spectacular goal. What I don't want to see is my striker miss loads of chances but bobble one in, and the probability there is great. Okay, you win the games.
Well, no one's going to sit there and go,
but I want to be entertained.
He had an XG on that of 0.9. He got into a brilliant position. It's goal or no goal, isn't it?
I feel sad listening to that. I actually do.
I like the window
depresses me a bit.
They've given us to that into the recruitment process. I'd like to know that. I am a little bit concerned about what that means going forward.
Yeah, it is a little bit depressing, but I can totally understand the thought process and how successful have they been, Brentford. In particular, in that position, you cannot really fault how they've been able to bring in somebody so quickly in it and it be successful.
Of course, the other thing is that what he was talking about there was an attribute, and he was talking, I would suggest, a hypothetical situation where you assess a player on multiple different attributes rather than just one, but for that attribute in particular, that would get a higher rating, I think so. There's probably more context there is around that anyway. By the way, I think maybe you should probably have the afternoon off the drinking, because when you said, there's nowhere to run, we were a little bit concerned about a few dogs going down. So just maybe
I tell you what,
stick to the peppermint tea.
I went that high in the final itself as well. That's how angry Rasmus Højlund got me. We nearly fell out that night.
Did you?
Well,
didn't you tell him that you were a better striker than him?
Because you weren't being rational at all.
Well, when does that ever come into his thinking?
Absolute steam coming out of his ears.
He's in a bit emotional.
There was a stat, a game last season.
Have you just gone back to go look for
Harry Maguire accumulated more XG in added time against Nottingham Forest than Rasmus Højlund did in his previous 15 appearances.
They needed a goal and they thrust him up front and they threw balls into the box.
At least he knew where to stand and let it hit his head and go in.
Probably a little bit more to it than that. Crikey. There's Alex Crook, former Premier League footballer. Remember, when we come back in the next few minutes, we'll be talking more about some of the weekend's football. We're going to talk about Wrexham Swansea tonight. Big game on the pitch and big game behind the mic as well. We'll talk about that before 1 o'clock. This is talkSPORT with Sam Matterface, Dean Ashton and Alex Crook. We're here till 1.
Simon, on Top Boxing this week, you said all of this is confected. It's fake. It's not real.
I think there's an element of that. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, Eddie Hearn talks about lacing my boots. To quote the great Kevin Kelly, he might get his boots smoked by Zuffa because they've got the money and the broadcast deals to really capitalise on the opportunity. And they will come, and they are coming. I don't agree with Dana's observations about the fact that everything... He described the UFC model as being built upon everything that was bad in boxing, everything he hated was something he was going to deploy in building UFC. Whole different set of rules, whole different set of game, whole different set of structure, whole different industry in terms of UFC and what he built it from. This is a different ball game. He's not going to have a free run at it. Yes, he's got a lot of opportunities in front of him. Yes, he's got a stable. He's got the challenges of how he's done UFC. He's been sued up the yin yang for compensation from fighters. So he's got that circle to square with fighters coming in. He's got fighters that are ultimately wanting to fight for legitimate belts rather than this Zuffa nonsense right now, with the Ring magazine the only credibility really behind it. So I think it's confected because I think both of them, you know, they love the limelight. And when Eddie gets all offended about, he's asking me for a fight. I remember being in the studio challenging Eddie a year ago, and he was suggesting that we had a fight. So he's perfectly prone to doing it himself. Now he's saying it's an offensive thing that Dana White suggests that we have a fight. Look, the bottom line is they're getting noise.
Yeah.
And they're getting attention. And that's what they do. They're promoters. That's what their job is. Now, whether it's about themselves or whether it's about their charges, it brings noise. Behind it, poking a little stick with some excrement on the end of it, is Turkey a la Sheikh, winding everybody up and getting everybody at it, whether it's Frank because he's saying defamatory things or his Ring magazine colleagues are saying defamatory things about Queensberry.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van Range. Commercial vehicles that go the distance for your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 12:04, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good afternoon. As the King of the Jungle attempts to become King of Cheltenham, he's told us it's like Cup final day down there.
Everybody wants tickets, and I'm sure I shall be in the paddock, and they're off, and then suddenly my phone will go, Harry, I'm outside, you ain't left me tickets, you know. Oh, my God. Yeah, I can guarantee that'll happen somewhere today.
Harry Redknapp's Jukebox Man is just behind favourites Django Bay and Gaelic Warrior for today's Gold Cup, live on talkSPORT at 4 p.m. And despite the overnight rain, Spillane's tower has been pulled out over the ground not being soft enough. Meanwhile, Harry Redknapp has disagreed with new Spurs CEO Vinay Venkatesham, who's blamed Daniel Levy for the club's recent on-pitch woes.
It was good to work with. He honestly was. I know probably Spurs fans don't like hearing that. They're blaming him for almost everything. But for me, he was fine. I had no problems with him.
Sorry about the quality of that clip there. Igor Tudor speaks to the press at 1:30 p.m. He should sound a bit better then. Ahead of Tottenham's trip to Anfield on Sunday, good news for Liverpool fans. Alisson's injury isn't so bad.
Hopefully he's available and ready for Sunday. If not, I'm expecting him, if things go as planned, definitely against Galatasaray.
Tomorrow evening, we've got Man City's trip to West Ham live on talkSPORT. Now, former Arsenal midfielder Thomas Partey is expected to deny 2 new allegations of rape. He was charged last month for an alleged offence in December 2020. Partey was excused from today's hearing, but is expected in court in April. And Reece James is ready to dedicate his peak years to Chelsea. The club captain signed a contract extension till 2032. More at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
The government says it has no plans to ease sanctions on Russian oil like the US have done, and the Tories claim the government's economic plan has failed after zero growth in January. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. With a huge range of premium brands available, we've got what you need to drive away happy every time. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
Brighter today, but cold and windy. Some showers about as well. Most of those in the north and west, some heavy.
Hello, it's talkSPORT. It's Sam Matterface. It's Alex Crook, who spent most of the morning tapping away at his laptop. What are you actually doing? Are you preparing for the weekend, or are you preparing for your Cheltenham bets this afternoon?
Always out talking to people, you know me.
You're in the studio?
Trying to get some information.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we believe that, Dino?
Not in the job.
He looks like he was Googling for some sort of a new pair of trousers earlier on when I was looking over his shoulders.
Did it?
By the way, have you got one of those ties that doesn't go with the rest of your outfit today?
I haven't got my lucky tie
No?
today.
Oh, that's
I've got a bit of stick for that.
You were wearing a really odd combination, weren't you? Sort of like a different type of blue shirt and jacket, and then this very loud sort of tie with, was it horses on it?
It was a Goodwood members tie, yeah.
Right, okay. But you need to pair it with the right sort of...
Well, it was blue. I thought blue goes with blue.
Yeah, but not
listen,
all types of blue.
Listen, I might win a lot this afternoon, but I'm not going to win any fashion awards, am I? Let's be honest.
And I don't think you care.
despite trying quite hard.
Yeah.
Over time.
I don't know. I like this number that you've got.
Do you?
That's decent.
But you always, this is what always happens. He goes, I like that. I'm going to go and get something similar. And then he'll go and find...
Oh, yeah, but you buy your jackets. I get mine for free, so...
There we go. Right, OK, let's talk about the FA Cup quarterfinals. The kick-off times have been confirmed. Manchester City against Liverpool is exclusively live on talkSPORT 12:15. I think arguably they would have wanted that a little bit later in the day. The police have decided that it has to go earlier on in the day. I would have thought, I'm guessing that.
It's on the Saturday, yeah?
Yeah, on the Saturday. 5:15 on the Saturday night, Chelsea against Port Vale. And Southampton, Arsenal, 8 o'clock. And West Ham Leeds at 4:30 on Sunday after the international break. Easter Sunday, West Ham against Leeds. All those have just been confirmed at midday. It's brilliant for talkSPORT to have Manchester City against Liverpool exclusively live on the station. That is for sure. But I mean, how important is the competition to both those two teams? But Liverpool, I imagine it's probably arguably the priority, isn't it?
Yes. Obviously, they're still very much in the Champions League. Both of those clubs, every single competition is vital, and especially I think in how certainly for Arne Slot, perception from the supporters is going to be key. Despite maybe not having the best season, if they can get Champions League football once again and silverware, well, I tell you what, it's a pretty impressive season in the end. Depending on on where you set the bar for Liverpool.
And what your measure is of success. Obviously, compared to last season, it's never going to be as successful, but winning trophies is incredibly important for everybody. And I think you can tell how important it is to the big clubs because of the quarterfinal lineup. The fact that you've got Manchester City, Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and West Ham and Leeds all in there shows you how important it is.
Yeah, and you're probably going to end up with a semi-final that includes Chelsea, Arsenal, and then obviously the winner of that City against Liverpool tie. No disrespect to Port Vale and Southampton, but you would expect those to go through. So, as always seems to be the way that the big guns come to the fore. And yeah, I don't think they can underestimate the FA Cup, Liverpool. You can only win 4 trophies at the start of any season. So to get silverware in the cabinet, I think would be an achievement for Arne Slot, particularly given all the issues they've had to endure over the course of the campaign.
Arsenal's priority remains the Premier League title race. How do they compare to other league leaders after 30 games? The latest instalment of the title race comes this weekend. 5:30, it's Arsenal against Everton. And then, straight after that, live on talkSPORT, it's West Ham against Manchester City. In the past 10 years, on only one occasion has a side been on fewer points than Arsenal at this stage of the season. Leicester City, 63 points at this stage. Arsenal leading the Premier League on 67. Liverpool were also on 67 in 23-24, and they went on and finished third that year. I mean, does the fact that they have got that 7-point gap right now over Manchester City give them a little bit more insulation? Because Leicester didn't have that, did they?
No, they didn't. It was. I mean, you can't compare those. You can't compare the seasons. That was just
crazy.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
I still can't even believe that it happened now, really.
I find it's fascinating how much stick Arsenal are getting for the style and the set plays and trying to compare previous winners.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it does.
It doesn't
obviously
matter
does.
to them.
It obviously does. Yeah, it doesn't to them, but it obviously does to so many people.
But that's just because people don't want Arsenal to win it. That's got nothing to do with the fact that they really care
also,
about
look,
the style.
are we really looking across the other teams and going, wow, What a team!
No, there's not.
Oh,
another
they're
team
so good to
standing up
watch.
and going,
No,
I would prefer them to be.
No,
champions.
I would say the league as a whole this season has been
Average.
Yes. Yeah, and you can see it's evolving. The stats will tell you it's evolving, especially in an athletic way for these teams. It's much more competitive than it's ever been before. It's not about how you do it; it's about whether you do it
and getting over the line. And actually, you need a certain level of mental strength to be able to get over that line, especially when you've fallen at the final hurdle on a couple of occasions, Crook.
Yeah, and we've said it. Arsenal fans, and unfortunately I know a lot of Arsenal fans who are gloating at the moment, that they're not going to care how they get over the line. And I do think there's a nervousness about Mikel Arteta and his players because of what's happened in the last couple of seasons. That's why they've gone back to basics,
Where
if
do
you
you
like.
get that vibe from? I don't get that vibe. Whenever I speak to Mikel Arteta, I don't get a hint of nerve.
No, but I think in the playing style there's a hint of nervousness because they've obviously got this marginal game when it comes to set pieces and being quite direct that is serving them well. It's an attritional way to get over the line. And actually, maybe in previous seasons they've been a little bit too gung-ho and they've been criticised for their expansive playing style, not delivering success. So that's where I think the nervousness comes from.
You say it's a different way of playing. It is, but isn't it a progressive sort of attitude to adopt a maximisation technique? If you look at someone like FC Midtjylland, by the way, last night played against Nottingham Forest, they've scored 50%, 50, not Arsenal's 30, 50% of all their goals have come from dead ball situations.
But do we want that to become the norm?
And they have spent the last 5 or 6 years putting their energies into this. And obviously, other teams around Europe have started to pick this up, which is why you'll see that every set-piece coach that has gone through Midtjylland is now in the Premier League. Every single one of them. Even Nicolas Jover went over there and spent time to learn how they do their set pieces because there's so much data-driven analysis that goes into the way that they have formulated their set piece routines and they've maximised them so well that club in Denmark has spread its wings its tentacles so far that the Newcastle set piece coach has been there, the Arsenal set piece coach has had a part of it, Austin McPhee spent time over there. Everybody goes through there. Every top level set piece coach goes through there.
Yeah, which I think says everything about that setup and the importance they place on it, and having that data to look at and to work on, I think is key. And ultimately, Pep Guardiola came into Manchester City. He completely changed the way football was played in this country.
Yep.
You know, before he came along, goalkeepers did not play out the way they do now. That is him and what he's brought. Fullbacks didn't go from their position and play in midfield or turn up in the centre forward position. They didn't. He totally transformed the way the Premier League teams played. So somewhere along the line, somebody, a team, a manager, was going to find a way to transform that and get the better of that. And this is how it looks. This is the way to nullify having lots of the opposition having the possession, slowing the game down, not disrupting that flow of possession, denying space, and then playing the percentages of getting up the pitch and then using long throws and set plays to your. That was always going to happen, and this is what we've got.
Yeah, and listen, if you can't beat them, join them. And then if you look at Liverpool, for example, over the last few weeks, they've certainly done that. They've tried to maximise set pieces a lot more. Now, I know that earlier this week, Alex Crook was at Cheltenham on this show alongside Jim White and Gabby Agbonlahor, and actually joined by John Obi Mikel, title winner at Chelsea, who had actually some strong words on Arsenal and their approach.
No, I wouldn't, because for me, it's a cheat. They've cheated their way to winning the Premier League. So I wouldn't recognize them as winners, because for me, it's illegal the way they're winning games. It's illegal. Unless the Premier League right now, from this weekend, stamp that out. We don't want to see that in the game.
So if you were playing for Arsenal, asked by Arteta, these are the tactics, and this is what I want you to do, you'd say, that's not my style of football, I can't do that.
No, you can't, because he spent $1 billion.
You would not go with Arteta's tactics?
No, when I look at the team, there's so much creativity in that team. So much creativity. Eze, Odegaard, Saka, let them express themselves. When you watch them, they're so rigid. They depend solely on the corner kick.
John Obi Mikel joining you at
He
Cheltenham.
was very lively.
He was brilliant, actually, to listen to. And it was fascinating to get him on talking about Arsenal. He was very strong, though. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with what he said. He felt to me, I mean, the fact that he said it was illegal the way they're winning the Premier League at the moment was probably a bit of an overstatement.
Has he forgotten what type of Chelsea team he played in?
He's forgotten the type of player he was, by the way.
That's what
We love
surprised me.
him, by the way.
But this honestly, this is what is surprising me, how it's getting to people, how it is genuinely getting to people.
Why is that?
I don't know what I don't know if it's just unfashionable
you've
or
got
they
the
feel like they're
Chelsea-Arsenal
ruining
rivalry when it comes
or they're ruining football or ruining the spectacle. I don't know what it is, but it's really got to people. Why?
I think
it's
as I
got
say,
to you a bit.
No, it's not got to me a bit. I wouldn't say that.
I know too many Arsenal fans. That's what you said about 2 minutes ago.
That is an issue, and they are quite easy to wind up. But I was at Arsenal Brighton. You did the commentary. You seem to enjoy the game a lot more than I did.
But you don't enjoy any game at the moment. You're getting a bit whingy about football. You're doing my head in with that.
I don't think it's as good as it used to be.
Chelsea-Arsenal back in October. It was a brilliant game. You were moaning about that at half-time.
They were just trying to kick the lumps out of each other.
Thought it was one of the best games of the season.
I mean, that stat piece stat that you gave about Midtjylland, that scares me a little bit because I don't think we want that to become the norm.
No, but when I said that to you earlier in the season, you told me I was a snob.
I don't remember saying that.
You do, which is why you went silent. They're going to do that thing where they did the Enigma things all over your face again after that. You know that, don't you? That's coming.
But do you enjoy it? You watching set piece games? I mean, again, you even talk about the goalkeepers being what do you call it in the NFL?
Quarterbacks.
No, when they come up,
play callers.
Play callers. He's talking about play callers in football.
No, they are. That's what they do. Like David Ryan, one of his responsibilities is to walk up to the halfway line when they're doing a set piece. Walk up to the halfway line and look at the way that the defenders have set up, and then he will give an indication to the corner kick taker as to what is the best one of the plays to use.
You a fan of that?
Not particularly, but I was a fan of being in the box when it all happened. It's great. As a player, it's brilliant.
Do you like the idea of testing yourself in that? So, I'm going to go for it. It's going to be me. I'm going to get there, and you've got to beat your marker, whoever that happens to be.
Yeah. Trying to
that personal duel.
Trying to learn, 25 set plays was a nightmare.
Was it?
It was a nightmare. They're plastered all over the dressing room. You're trying to learn. Watch on the side when they flip through him for a sub. He's not taking any notice.
Were they numbers or were they named?
Numbers.
I would like it if they had cool names.
Yeah, they probably have now.
Autonomous.
The grappling and stuff's got worse than in your playing days, surely.
We're going to come back to that in just a second, actually. No. We'll talk about set pieces in just a second because we've got a break, and if we don't do that, then the ref's replacement, we've got a referee replacement this week.
He's a bit harsher, isn't he?
He is. He's not a ref, actually. He's a midfield player, aren't you? You're a midfield player. Oh, he's retired. Oh, that's why he's so angry. Got a break. This is talkSPORT. Back in just a few moments. And we'll continue to talk set plays, actually, because I think that in particular is interesting, which is how the grappling was just as bad when you were playing as it is now. We just highlight it more. This is talkSPORT.
Morning, guys. Morning, Gab.
Morning, boss.
Morning, boss. You okay?
Yeah, I'm good. All good.
Why are you not here, Jermaine? I thought you would be with us today in the box, smelling amazing.
I might have to come down, actually. Looks like it's going to be fun. Nice day for it.
Yeah, great day.
Jump on the headache up there, you'll be fine, mate.
He's not a racing man, I don't think, is he?
Oh,
I'm not. The boss knows I'm not really, and he's getting involved in it, though.
Yeah.
Saying all the right
He's well behaved. Didn't come on a Tuesday when he was in on the Wednesday.
No.
Yeah, he was definitely there on a Tuesday.
We're the lads here. All got the helicopter here, didn't they?
Did they?
Tottenham, yeah. Yeah.
Jermaine, it's good to have you on with this. Let's get your thoughts now on your former club. Shall we start with Spurs? It's a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously it's been a hard watch all season. To be honest, I think especially the other night I watched the game and yeah, it was just I think the manager's come in and he's in, especially in that game, he's decided to start a young goalkeeper in Kingsley, and I think I was surprised when he took him off. To be honest, I think when you have a young goalkeeper and you make that decision in such a game of that magnitude to start him, I think you've got to stay with him. I think what a young goalkeeper can gain from that sort of experience, even though it weren't going well when he made the two big mistakes. But I think you've got to stay with him. And the fact that the manager decided to take him off and not really acknowledge him when he come off, it's I just think that human side, I think you've got to manage that situation in the right way. It doesn't look good. I think try and get through half time and allow the senior players to get around him and help him in the second half. But to drag him off after the two mistakes, it was hard for me to see that, to be honest.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals and taking you through what should be another busy day of football.
Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How would you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
Great show as always, guys. I don't understand the whole set-piece negativity. I'm 44, so I don't know if it's an age thing, but I'm pretty sure Crookie didn't find the 99 Champions League final boring, which United won from 2 corners. It's all part of tactics. If a goalkeeper is having a dodgy time, everyone says, land the corners, crosses on top of the goalkeeper. It's all within the rules of the game. Surely that's Jimmy, a Leeds fan in Rothwell. And actually, I was talking to someone about you the other day, and they're saying, he's getting on my nerves, not loving football anymore. He's falling out of love with it. And I was told, in no uncertain terms, get him a DVD of the 1999 Champions League final.
You don't think I've watched that numerous
and
times?
see if he enjoys the football that was played during that night. But it's true, isn't it? United won the Champions League with 2 set pieces.
Yeah, but they played a heck of a lot of entertaining football along the way.
But no one's saying they didn't. But they did. Arsenal played some entertaining football as well at points over the course of the season.
And again, you're more of a numbers man than me, but obviously set pieces have always been a big part of the game. But it feels like they're a bigger part than ever.
Well, they are a bigger part than ever, and they're more complicated than ever. Would that be fair? In terms of their construction?
Yes.
But you were saying earlier, the stuff that goes on in the box, that's always been happening.
There's never been this many teams taking long throws.
No.
There hasn't.
No.
There used to be a specialist, 2 or 3 specialists in a league. Every team's got one player now that can launch it into the penalty area.
Do you think that Michael Coyote does more running from side to side, taking throw-ins, than he does throughout the rest of the game?
Especially at the London Stadium, he does.
Oh, my word. That was unbelievable, wasn't it?
His distance covered must be unreal.
He ran around that track more times than Usain Bolt did during the Olympics.
It's an opportunity every time the ball goes out in the opposition half. He was taking it pretty much as long as it was in the opposition half. He ran over to take it, and they set it up, and it's part of it. the grappling within the penalty area is slightly different. It's cleaner now than it was.
What do you mean by that?
Well, when I played, you could elbow still, yank, grapple in a more aggressive way. Now it is face-to-face dancing, effectively. That's the slight difference. I just don't understand how players now cannot face the ball and mark their opponent. I don't understand how it's not a penalty.
Because the approach is that when the ball is about to come in, they turn around and they face the player that they're marking rather than wondering what's going on behind them with the ball. I think the modus operandi there is they know they cannot give away a penalty until the whistle is blown. So they do a lot of their pushing and shoving and their grappling and their nasty stuff to a point where it's an acceptable level because it's not violent conduct. So you can get sent off for violent conduct in those situations, but you can't give away a penalty.
No, and you
so
can
they
get
wait
away
to
with
that
a certain
whistle
amount of holding before
exactly.
it becomes
And
persistent.
as soon as the whistle goes, they all back off. Not back off, but they lower down what they're doing. They've already done their disruption work. Does that make any sense?
Yeah. Thing is, it's that much detail, though, isn't it? That's
Yeah,
the
it
thing.
is.
It's that much detail now that the players are going through with the staff about every set play, offensively and defensively, and that is, as we've just seen with the Brentford model, it is so stats based.
And I'm a massive hypocrite, by the way, because I wrote a big piece to mark 100 days for the World Cup about what Thomas Tuchel needs to do to make sure England can win it. And one of my bullet points was rely on set pieces, because when they got to the semi-final in 2018, I think 9 of their 12 goals came from set pieces.
Yeah.
So if you can't beat them, join them.
Actually
would be
started
my
this, by the
message
way, in
to Tuchel.
2018. He realised that there wasn't enough time to come up with exotic patterns of play, and that was too much information to give to international players in a short space of time. So he focused on dead ball situations because that was a way of maximising output, but at the same time getting decent information into the players without overcomplicating things.
Yeah, so which one is it?
Well, if you can't beat them, join them. It was basically the emphasis of that. But
so you've changed your mind again in the space of a section of the programme. That's quite impressive. That even for you, that's pretty rapid.
Well, I have the capability to do that.
Ash from Portsmouth says, teams turning up against better opposition and parking the bus with 10 outfield players surrounding the 18-yard box have created this problem. They have stopped players from playing, so now they are finding new ways to reach the goal. These teams only have themselves to blame for their boring style we're seeing now. If they grow a pair, open up a bit and try to play the way to victory, you'll see better teams actually have a chance to play some creative, attractive football. Morning, did Slot win with Klopp's squad, and actually when he has built his own squad and with his own identity, it's actually now shown him up to be a limited manager in comparison to the aforementioned Klopp, says Luke.
Too simplistic.
Why?
Because of all the reasons we've discussed, because of all that they've had to endure this season.
Yeah, I think that's probably fair. I think it's hilarious that all the English media are calling out an 80-year-old man who hasn't been a manager in almost a decade to come into Spurs to save the day, as if he's some sort of miracle man. Please bring him into Spurs. It would be hilarious, says Ryan. That in reference to Harry Redknapp. Interesting.
Is he 80 now, is he? 79.
Nearly 80.
Just turned 79. This month.
Yeah, there you are. 1889 on the text if you want to get in touch. It's 03717 22 3344. That is the number to get in touch with us here on talkSPORT with Selco Builders Warehouse. It's where the trade go. It's Sam Matterface, Alex Crook and Dean Ashton. And we're here till 1 o'clock. We're going to talk boxing next with Adam Catterall.
Oh, no! 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 Yeah! No!
on.
That is just so typical.
That's so nonsensical.
PSG 3, Chelsea 2, and goodness me, boys, you've shot yourselves in the foot.
What is that? What is that?
I said it. We said it. You bring in a keeper because he's good with his feet. But really and truly, is he that good with his feet? What's this shambolic goal?
Reece James plays the ball back to Jorgensen, who tries to play out from the back, and he gets intercepted. It falls to a PSG player. And by the way, as well, when he gets worked to Vitinha, the goalkeeper's off his line. And that is some dinked finish, isn't it? But once again there, Kwaku, he's taking way too much time. And my goodness me, in a game of football where you're level at 2-2, possibly looking the better team, in a game of this magnitude, at this level, mistakes like that, Louis, are just completely unacceptable.
It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. This is why when people talk about keepers playing with the ball at their feet all the time and how it's a massive priority, yes, I appreciate the game is changing, but the priority for a goalkeeper is saving it.
There's also moments as well I don't think they're clearly there. You had a PSG player coming from the left-hand side.
It's logical.
You could see ahead as well someone's being pressed. I'm with you. Playing out from the back is a part of football, but if you can see there's pressure on, there has to be a moment where you don't play out from the back and you just go long.
But this is the problem. There's this consistent need to always play out the back, always play out, always play out. Just this another problem with this Chelsea team, but also not just this Chelsea team. A lot of teams now, because there is so much pressure on playing out from the back, they make silly decisions like that all the time, and we give them the ball away again.
Life after football. For a lot of players, it means going into punditry. Some turn to coaching or working in the game in other ways. But what about the rest? Some former footballers turn their sights away from the game, and there are a few big surprises. First up, from rainbow flicks to pancake flips. Ex-Chelsea and Southampton defender Ken Monku switched up his footballing career to buy a Dutch pancake house. Next, Everton legend Thomas Gravesen swapped out the high stakes of the Premier League for those of the poker room. Turned out the Danish international was pretty darn good at poker. He racked up a reported £100 million from his Las Vegas adventures. Remember former Chelsea goalkeeper Petr Cech? Turns out football nets weren't the only goals he was pretty handy in front of. After retirement, he became a goaltender in ice hockey. Same skills, very different surface. It's not all glamour for ex-pros, though. 1966 World Cup winner Ray Wilson set up a very different kind of business. He became an undertaker after he retired. Finally, not many people can say they've won both a World Cup and starred in an Oscar-winning film. In fact, there's only one person in the entire world who can say that. Frank Leboeuf had already begun acting on the side while he was playing football, and his biggest role came some years after his retirement when he landed the part of a doctor in the Stephen Hawking biopic The Theory of Everything. To be honest, with all the dramatic diving in the game these days, there's probably tons of ex-pros who've got the acting skills to make it in Hollywood.
And live boxing returns to talkSPORT tomorrow night from Dublin. Jazza Dickens and Anthony Cacace fight for the WBA World Super Featherweight title. Our expert team that includes John Rawling, Adam Catterall, Gareth A. Davis and Spencer Oliver will bring you live commentary on the night, while you can also watch along from ringside via the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel. That's live world title fight boxing tomorrow night, live across the talkSPORT network, 7 p.m. Or you can watch live on DAZN. And Adam Catterall joins us now to talk about what we can expect tomorrow night. Hi, Ad.
How you doing, Sam? You good, mate?
Yeah, very good, mate. How are both fighters looking ahead of tomorrow's a big bout live on talkSPORT?
Very well. Listen, a little later on, we're going to be at the ceremonial weigh-in, so we'll get a little bit more of a taste of how they're looking. But yesterday, we saw them at the press conferences. We're talking about two seasoned veterans that don't need any trash talk. They let the fist do the talking, so they're both in good spirits. Both have very similar stories to this particular point, and they're ready to give us an absolute cracking fight live on talkSPORT tomorrow night, mate.
Jazza Dickens puts his WBA Super Featherweight world title on the line. He was elevated to world champion because Lamont Reach Jr. vacated it. What sort of challenge is he going to get from Anthony Cacace? Because I imagine that the crowd is going to be heavily in favour of the Irishman, Northern Irishman.
It's a very stiff challenge, as you just pointed out there. Cacace's from Belfast, so his fans will 100% have travelled to Dublin, but do not rule out a big Scouse crowd here as well. Everybody knows the connections between Dublin and Liverpool. There'll be a lot of fans in here for the champion, Jazza Dickens. I think it's a very stiff challenge for him. Anthony Cacace is a former champion, obviously holding that IBF championship when he beat Joe Cordina. Since then, he's obviously vacated that. He's beaten the likes of Lee Wood, former champion, Josh Warrington, former champion. So he's well seasoned, well schooled. He's also very good for a big lad at this weight division. He's very good at fighting big. He's also very good at fighting small, so therefore he can do the lot. Jazza's going to have his wits about him if he's going to be successful on Saturday night. I think the styles gel really, really well. So anybody tuning into this live on DAZN or tuning in on the talkSPORT Boxing YouTube channel, they're in for a treat, mate, because I think these two boys are going to dish up some fireworks on St Patrick's weekend in Dublin. You can't beat it, can you?
Yeah, I noticed that you volunteered for that trip. Whoever wins this fight, where potentially do you see them going next after this?
Well, the winner, you would think, at the stage of the career that they're at, you're looking at unifications. A couple of weeks ago, we had an absolute cracker between Navarrete and Nunes. Navarrete came through there and he absolutely schooled Nunes on that particular night. So he's the belts holder of 2 of the championships in this division. And you've also got Oshaki Foster that's also there as well, who's heavily linked with some top promoters as well. So you would think that it would be a unification for the victor, and I don't even think even the loser here goes too far down the pecking order, because if you look down the actual card here on Saturday night, you've got some top super featherweight talent that I've no doubt is chomping at the bit for their shots. So therefore, I think there's plenty of fights in this very stacked division for both men, but I would think that the victor's going to go on for big unifications in the super featherweight division.
It's one of the hardest opponents, though, isn't it, for Jazza Dickens?
Oh, massively, mate. We're talking about former world champion in Anton Cacace. It's odd, right? Because Cacace's 37 years of age. Therefore, you would think, being at that particular stage of his life and his career, he's coming to the end. But speaking to him yesterday, he's hungrier than ever, mate.
Yeah.
Hungrier than ever. He's got a chance of a little bit of history. His fellow man from Belfast, Cole Frampton, did it, becoming a 2-time champion. And he's aiming to do that and go down in history as one of the best Irish fighters of all time. So therefore, the hunger's there, it's burning away. And as I said, size-wise, he's absolutely gigantic. He hits very well to the body. And as I said, for a big lad, he can fight long, he can fight tall, but he also likes it on the inside as well. Jazza's going to have his wits about him if he's going to retain that WBA championship.
So what's your prediction for the fight?
I hate backing against current champions going into a fight, but styles and run of form. This is the thing. Jazza keeps pulling rabbits out of the hat that I don't expect him to do. Last time out in Istanbul, when he became the interim champion, I didn't back him to win that fight. He was absolutely fantastic and he got the job done. So he keeps pulling these rabbits out. So I hate backing against him. But Cacace's on a more consistent run of form right now, beating a high-level caliber of fighter. So I'm slightly leaning towards Anton Cacace. I think we're going to get fireworks. I think we're going to get an unbelievable fight. I think we are going to get the full 12 rounds. but I'm slightly favouring Kakachi to get it done on the cards.
Looking forward to it. Just a quick word on some of the other stuff that's been doing the rounds this week. Eddie Hearn's been making more noises, discussing the prospect of AJ. We don't even know when he's going to come back and start fighting again, taking on Tyson Fury. I mean, is this just sort of like, I don't know, barroom talk, or is there real feeling behind it? Is there some substance behind the prospect of them meeting finally?
I think there's a real thirst for it from everybody involved in being able to make that fight. I think we will be a lot further down the line, obviously, if Anthony hadn't suffered the tragedy that he suffered at the back end of last year. And that's the main thing, really, for me. Him getting his head in the right space to compete, competing for the right reasons, getting himself to a place of peace. I know that he's never, ever going to get over what happened to him, but if he can get to a place of peace where he can get back in the ring, he can compete, and if he does want to do that again, then I think the obvious turn would be Tyson Fury. I think it would be really, really sad for this era of boxing and this era of boxing fan, and for both of these guys, because I think they'll look back in years gone after their career that they should have done it. I hope that they can get to a point where they do it, because I still think that it is the biggest fight for two British lads stepping in a British ring. Fingers crossed it happens on British soil, that we can get.
Right, final prediction before I let you go. Who sinks more pints of Guinness over the weekend? You in Dublin or Crookie this afternoon while he's watching the Gold Cup?
Oh, that's a killer, that. I think Crookie takes it all. I've been out with Crookie on a couple of occasions, mate, and he is a phenom, isn't he? He knows what he's doing when it comes to sinking pints. So I'm going to give it him, mate. I think we will come a close second, but it's all about him. Good luck to him. Good luck to anybody that's around him.
Yeah, tell me about it. Have fun this weekend, Ad. Nice to speak to you, mate. Don't forget the Saturday night fight night here on talkSPORT and on DAZN. This weekend, Jazza Dickens defending his WBA World Super Featherweight title against Anthony Kakachi. Then on March the 21st, George Liddard takes on Tyler Denny for the British and Commonwealth titles. And on March the 28th, the spotlight shifts to the future heavyweight champion of the world, Moses Atama, taking on Jermaine Franklin. All of those fights are only on DAZN.
Boxing updates on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
You're listening to Matterface, Crook, and Dean Ashton is with us today on Funboy Friday with Selco Builders Warehouse. Check out this month's real deal at selcobw.com. Next, we'll have a look at the Wrexham co-owners who are on co-commentary duty tonight.
So to me, the manager, when you look at him and the way that they're reacting to him as a manager, is everything that I need to know that this guy is absolutely out of his depth and he's got to get out of that football club.
Yeah.
Because if they stick with this guy, we are gone. This club is gone. Yeah. And then at the end of the season...
Who knows? But hold on a second.
At the end of the season...
So you change a manager and your fortune's going to change?
No, I'm not saying they're going to change, but it can't get any worse.
No,
it can't get any worse than his manager.
We drew the second half today.
Jay, shut up!
Honestly, you lot, I don't know what you want.
Stop going on about the second half. You can't keep going on about it. Like, seriously, mate. Seriously, shut up. You can't keep talking about the second half. Oh, we drew the second half, mate. Honestly, I'm trying not to swear. Like, you can't keep saying that, mate. You can't keep saying that. You're a professional pundit. You can't keep saying that.
You did draw the second half.
Oh, mate, I'm trying to be professional here. I'm not going to. I'm going to swear. I'm going to swear. Go to a break.
You've done it again, haven't you? You've done it again. You've walked. Jay? He's walked out again. I mean, factually, they drew the second half.
Hello and welcome to talkSPORT Goals. We've been taking you through what should be another busy day of football. Chance to win it!
We don't need to do that, guys.
I'm going to owe you an apology. How did you get to that conclusion? That's a weak mentality.
Oh, get out of it.
It's talkSPORT, Sam Matterface Alex Crook and Dean Ashton. We're here through till 1 o'clock. H&J coming to you live from Cheltenham Festival.
They've been in good form this week.
Yeah, until they went out with you, poor lads. He says, "Oh, they're great fun. They like a little bit of whiskey." I was like, "Yeah, when you're pouring it down their necks, yeah." It's Gold Cup day. Harry Redknapp, his owned horse, the Jukebox Man, one of the big favourites for the big race today. And you can hear all the action across the talkSPORT network with the boys. They're at the course. They're going to bring you the first 5 races, including the Gold Cup. talkSPORT 2's Racing Live brings you in-depth coverage as well from all 7 races from 1 o'clock. You can listen to all the shows via the talkSPORT app, and you can swipe between talkSPORT and talkSPORT 2. The Jukebox Man's owner, Harry Redknapp, was on the breakfast show this morning, and he discussed his horse's chances at the Gold Cup today.
Yeah, no, I slept okay. We was all good. It took a bit of while to get off, but once I got a kip, I was okay. Just to have a runner in the Gold Cup race, a dream, really. You know, you sort of, when you go into it. Back in the day, we bought a little cheap horse between me and a few of my mates down in Bournemouth called Slick Cherry with David Ellsworth. I think we all put a couple of £100 each in and bought this, and had a lot of fun with that. And but to finally end up at the Gold Cup, with a runner that has got a decent chance, it's fantastic for me. It's a dream, so I'm really looking forward to it. I love the racing game, always have, and the people in it. But it's a very open race today. There's so many horses. It really is. Everything goes there with a chance today.
Yeah, he certainly does. We've known him for a very long time, and he's always been into his horse racing, and he must be proud as punch today. And there's not many people who can say that they've won an FA Cup final as a manager and owned a horse that ran in the Gold Cup.
No, and I think he did point out in another interview that I was watching, it might have been the start of the ITV coverage this morning, that Sir Alex Ferguson, obviously also into his horses, he's never won the Gold Cup.
A bit of friendly rivalry.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been down there this week, Fergie. Again, looked in good form.
Yeah. Wrexham against Swansea tonight is on talkSPORT 2 as well, Dino. And the Hollywood stars Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney, co-owners of Wrexham, are set to provide commentary for the club's championship clash against Swansea tonight on Sky Sports Football, with the traditional commentary on Sky Sports' main event.
Is that because you're unavailable? Because you normally do most of the commentaries, don't you?
Well, like you're on every show. Is there a slot to fill? Where's Alex Crook? Anyway, the slot being filled tonight on Sky Sports Football is by the two co-owners of Wrexham. What do you make of that? I think it's great, by the way, two owners having fun. Look, you can watch it with traditional commentary if you want to, but if you want to listen to the lads go for it, which I'm sure a lot of Wrexham fans will, it coincides with their 5th anniversary, I think, of owning the football club. I think it's brilliant. They're going to have guests coming in as they do it as well. It'll be fun.
Yeah, they're not just regular owners. One of the best actors in Hollywood, and Rob McElhenney has obviously had a fantastic career as well. There'll be great entertainment.
Yeah,
depending on how Wrexham do in the game, because it's actually a really, really.
How do you think Phil Parkinson will feel about it, though? Particularly if it does start to go wrong.
I think he's pretty used to the
Hollywood.
I think so. I think he's.
We'd have to be after 5 years, wouldn't you?
I think so. But like I said, if it doesn't go particularly well, it'll be interesting to see what they're like.
I think it is a first sort of one-of-a-kind broadcast. It's a good opportunity. It makes it a little bit different because a lot of the Wrexham people that follow Wrexham are in it for the entertainment value, right? We've talked about this before. You know, your kids have sort of accessed Wrexham because of the documentary and because of the social media stuff that goes with it. I think you bought them Wrexham shirts at one stage.
Yeah, they were wearing them on the weekend when they were playing Chelsea in the Cup. We watched that game together. So
that makes a change. My godson usually wears a Chelsea shirt when he's watching Chelsea.
Don't get me started on that. But I think they're an ownership group who divide opinion because either you think it's brilliant and you look at what they've done to Wrexham, or if you're the other side of the coin, I think there's a little bit of jealousy, particularly from some of those championship clubs who maybe haven't got access to the kind of finances. I personally think it's been brilliant, and I can envisage the Hollywood ending where we get to the playoff final at Wembley in May and they go up into the Premier League.
Which would be...
I can see it.
A fantastic event. If just getting to the playoff final would be a fantastic event.
I mean, to get to where they have so far so quickly is amazing. Of course, there's huge finances involved, but you still got to do it. You've still got to pick those players through the leagues and get there. I just wonder, they've been here a while now, but is there going to be a few sort of Ted Lasso-isms in there? I would expect.
In the commentary,
in the commentary, absolutely.
Oh, I'd imagine so.
They'll probably play up to that, won't they?
Yeah.
I'd have thought, as you say, he's a good actor.
I mean, he's a comedic actor as well. He loves all of that. So they both are. I mean, if you've ever watched It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with Rob McElhenney, there's a 14 series available on Netflix of that, isn't there? So, I mean, there's lots of comedy that comes around with both of them. So I think it'll be an entertaining broadcast. It's live on talkSPORT. John Dunn and Mickey Gray are providing the commentary on talkSPORT too, if you want to listen to that. Semenyo has been crowned the Player of the Month for February, and Pep Guardiola the Manager of the Month. That breaking in the last few moments. By the way, hasn't he done well since settling in at Manchester City?
Well, not just that, but actually they were having this debate on Drive a week or so ago about the Player of the Season, and Benty made a strong case for Antoine Semenyo, not just on how well he's settled into life at Manchester City, but what he did for Bournemouth in the first half of the season. Fair. I think he's got a great shout.
Well, and also the fact he stayed and performed the way he did, which did surprise me when you've got that sort of move in the pipeline, says a lot about his character. He probably was pinching himself midweek as well. All of a sudden he's grafted his way from the lower leagues to be at the Bernabeu.
Yeah. Did you think he overthought his team selection in midweek, Pep Guardiola?
Not necessarily. I just think once again they were caught out by that counter-attack that Real Madrid have been so successful against Manchester City with. It is that weak spot.
You knew that was coming.
Yeah, but it's very hard to stop. It is very hard to stop.
Yeah.
Look, it
was a great performance, was it?
It wasn't, but it's still Real Madrid at the Bernabeu. It's not just going to be, well, the Premier League teams are doing well and off City go, and they've not been in scintillating form in terms of the performances.
Real Madrid.
No,
but
it's still
loose. I've seen them against Monaco the other week. They won 6-1 and they could have conceded 4 goals. They were so open. But I suppose when you play Manchester City, there's a slight more discipline and commitment about you.
And also, this is what Real Madrid do when the Champions League comes around. How many times in the past have we said, well, they don't look like they're a great side this season, and then they end up in the final, or they go and win it again. You certainly wouldn't rule them out of going all the way.
Interesting. What about Haaland's form? He's scored, I think, 2 non-penalty goals in his last 17 games. Would you be a little bit concerned about that?
Well, as we've heard from Matthew Blenheim, that he is the ultimate. He is the ultimate numbers man, isn't he? Haaland.
He gets in the right positions.
He gets in all the right positions most of the time. Constantly gets chances. So it'll turn. You know, a bit like Beto, just stick with him.
Look, Manchester City's latest game is going to be live on talkSPORT tomorrow night. It's away at West Ham United. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff. It's only on talkSPORT. Crookmeister, thank you very much for today. Appreciate that. You and I will be back together on Sunday for Game Day Live.
I'm at Palace, yeah. Look forward
I'm
to
in
it.
the studio. We've got Tottenham, Liverpool to look forward to that day at Anfield as well, plus the Women's League Cup final. Lots of action for you on Sunday. Dino, have a good weekend.
I will.
We've tried desperately to try and get you to come out this
have.
afternoon.
I'm not dressed for it. I'm not.
I reckon you get away with it, though. You're Dean Ashton.
No, I've got 5 sets to play.
To be fair, you turned up at the Football Writers Awards wearing something similar, if I seem to remember. Straight off the plane from Bilbao.
Did you bring your racket, though? That's the
I'm
main
still
thing.
better dressed than you.
Shock. H&J and X, they're always superbly turned out.
I'm going to interrupt
Cue
you.
outrage
We
now from
haven't
all
spoken
those.
about Arsenal, really. Was it a penalty last night for Arsenal?
No.
No.
Did you think it was a penalty?
No, I didn't.
I know one person who did.
Martin
On
Keown
blind
felt it was a
pew.
definite penalty after Madueke went down under a challenge in the game against Leverkusen. It resulted in a penalty, and that was put into the back of the net by Havertz, who didn't celebrate because it would be wrong to do so. But again, is this not back to objectivity? Or does Martin have every right to say, it was a penalty? Of course it was a penalty.
But he knows.
Played the game, you didn't, nor did I.
Of course. But I've also got a set of eyes. And I wear glasses, and so does he. The question that was asked of him by the presenter, I think it was Lindsay, wasn't it? Said to him, if you was an Arsenal player and that was given against you, and he said, well, you're switching question, because he knows the answer. If he was an Arsenal player and that was given against him, he'd be outraged. It was a penalty because the referee said it was.
All right.
And that's the end of the discussion, really, isn't it? But was it a penalty in terms of a real foul in the penalty box where a player was really taken out of his stride and fell over? No, it was a dive.
580,000 people have read your tweet.